Part 202. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2015. But the fee may not be that simple. At least it is not something that ordinary Earth-level or heaven-level creatures can afford. Galaxy-level and venerable-level creatures will feel a little heartbroken if they spend this money. I see, because there are some local planets, farmers, and the like around this station, so why not set up a station here? Well, my mother's family is near this starry sky. When we first fought for this site, everyone on the planet was happy for a long time. Jia Yan heard it was interesting and felt that the starry sky was fun. He was about to ask more questions when the other person looked at him from a distance and started laughing. Look, the interstellar car is here, baby, let's get on. The female half-star creature's eyes suddenly lit up, and she saw a huge, dilapidated train that looked extremely old coming from a distance. Jia Yan was also very interested and looked back at the car. This is a metal object like a train, but it is much larger than a train. In fact, it is only 100 meters tall and about 100 meters wide, so it would be very spacious for an average venerable level person to enter. As for the half-stars, the smaller ones can go in, but the larger half-stars can only stand on a big platform at the back of the car, and it's also crowded. Regardless of whether it is crowded or not, this is at least a good platform. Moreover, it seems that the fee is not high at all for semi-star powerhouses. At least it is compared to them driving their own battleships or using their own bodies. The power to fly in the starry sky is much more economical. It really looks like a bus, but this bus is an interstellar model. My friend, I'm leaving. If you want to leave too, we can go together. The other party actually didn't really want to go with Jia Yan, because he looked like a very dignified person, and people in their star field didn't like such a person. No need, I'll wait a little longer, because I'm not sitting in this direction. Jia Yan did as she wished and didn't get in the car. He had already asked several questions. If he continued to ask the same person questions, she would have to wonder whether Jia Yan had just come here, or even whether Jia Yan was a spy from somewhere else. Then I'll see you next time. The other party had a child with him, and he hoped that this strong man would not get entangled with him, otherwise there would be safety issues. The train in the starry sky quickly arrived at the surface of the planet. Even though it was in tatters, it actually had anti-gravity technology. It was stable and did not cause the planet's gravitational tidal reaction, so it stopped just like that. Goodbye, uncle. The child must be dozens of years old, and his name is Uncle Jia Yan. Jia Yan nodded helplessly. Watching the mother and son get into the car, Jia Yan looked around him. There were not many creatures in the station anymore, they all took the same route. As for those who haven't arrived before the route vehicles arrive, they will play in nearby small towns. Jia Yan could easily feel that this planet was desolate. Except for the sparse buildings and amusement shops around the small station, there was no one living in the distance. A pure bus transfer planet. I heard from the half-star powerhouse before that this place is still a countryside and it is natural that it does not develop well. Will the next train arrive in 3 days? That's right. How can interstellar trains have the same frequency as buses on the planet? That's why there are transit shops here. Jia Yan understood, and then looked at the surrounding scene. Here, there are a few shops here and there, selling specialty products, simple daily necessities, and some selling intermediate and primary energy stones. Generally speaking, there is no problem in solving the cultivation of semi-star level beings. Of course, it is impossible to be as prosperous as you want. But Jia Yan could see a lot from these small details. The first thing is the overall environment here, plus he observed the reactions of the powerful people and creatures around him, and came to a conclusion that surprised him a little. It's very, very peaceful here. It is really peaceful, so peaceful that both the strong and the weak seem to have a certain degree of equality. Of course, Absolute equality is impossible, but compared to the outside world, just now he even saw half-star powerhouses lining up behind Earth-level creatures. This kind of scene is absolutely impossible to see in the outside world. Earth level and semi-star level, the levels are really very different. Even if the Earth level powerhouses are ranked in front of the semi-star level powerhouses, they will not occupy much space. But the procedures for getting on the bus are a little bit, not too slow. There are actually half-star powerhouses willing to wait. Looking around again, every strong person is consciously not so superior to others. This shows that this society is very different from the outside world and is directly a perfect and peaceful society. It is actually a place like this. Didn't I just say that there are many forces competing here? Could it be that because many forces exist in this area, it becomes a competition between everyone to maintain social order? In the end, to a large extent, make the entire star field a peaceful place. Jia Yan can imagine that if a half-star level bullies an Earth-level being, and that Earth-level being happens to be an employee of another force, and neither force happens to deal with it, then disputes will arise. Everyone restrains their subordinates and makes long speeches. Everyone is equal. In fact, they do not want to conflict with discordant forces. Then, will it change into a peaceful society? The harmonious society that countless powerful domain lord-level beings want to build in the outside world has almost been formed here. Of course, there are many problems here, but in my opinion, it's pretty good. It was the first time for Jia Yan to see such a place. The status of a strong person must still be high. For example, if a mid-level galaxy existence like him appears in person, the response from the outside world will definitely not be much different. After all, mid-level galactic beings can decide on a certain level. The life and death of star territory. But the people at the bottom can enjoy an extraordinary feeling of equality, which is already very powerful. Jia Yan continued shopping. There is nothing in a street, just some so-called specialties, and even some locally dug energy stones. The energy in them is messy, but it says, local pure natural energy stones. Doping with this energy stone during practice will make the power more peaceful. Studies have shown that it can increase the speed of cultivation, delay aging, enhance male charm, and keep women youthful forever. Wow! It feels just like the god of gossip hawkers on Earth. Master over there, do you want to buy our energy stone? Don't worry about the effect. The effect is really good. You can come and take a look. There are several sets of photos here. They are all feedback from masters who have benefited from using them. Don't worry, we won't sell fake energy stones. The vendor's eyes lit up when he saw Jia Yan and felt his semi-star strength. He actually only has heaven-level strength, but he actually dares to yell at a star-level and a half-level person. Jia Yan was sure that the strong and the weak in this starry sky were almost equal. I won't buy it. Let's talk about it when we have time. Jia Yan would not buy this kind of thing. After checking the brainwave power, he knew that there was nothing special in it except for energy spots. Apart from making you more busy and slowing down your practice speed during practice, it also has no major side effects. You will not die if you practice. All in all, a lie. Come and have a look. This is battleship repair paste. It's a good product produced by the top manufacturers in our star field. Look, what I'm holding is the wreckage of a battleship, broken into 2 pieces. Come on, I'll apply it. Battleship repair paste, look at it, you can step on it hard, hit it with a hammer, and bombard it with brainwave power, there will be no problem. Is there any problem with your battleship? It is guaranteed to extend the service life of the battleship for 50 years. Come on, there's a big sale today, don't forget why it's so cheap, because the factory director is my cousin. A starry sky level being saw Jia Yan coming over and stepped hard on the repaired battleship wreckage, wanting to show Jia Yan the effect. Haha, The factory director is your cousin? Jia Yan wanted to laugh out loud when he heard this. Quite an interesting star field. As for this repair cream, if you think about it, you will know that it is a deceptive thing. It was strong, but it was a battleship. Even if the repair was effective for a while, it would probably have problems again soon. Jia Yan was wondering if someone had used this paste, and the battleship flew halfway and disintegrated. However, after using his brainwave power to scan it, he saw that the repair paste had been marked not to be used on key load-bearing parts of the battleship. He was relieved. At least the manufacturer knew how much the paste weighed. Thinking about it, people who buy this kind of paste are probably not stupid enough to actually use it to stick to the engine. That is asking for death. Jia Yan shook his head and walked over directly, ignoring the yelling guy. The more he saw the general feeling of this star field, the more curious he became about this place. Sure enough, if you change a place, it will have the style of another place. Entering a bookstore or a place similar to an information store, Jia Yan paid to download some sales information. In the interstellar age, ordinary civilizations, regardless of their power or whatever, will have endless resources that are huge beyond anyone's imagination. These many resource materials may or may not be found online, so the so-called bookstore, have all changed careers and become collectors of this information. Whatever you want, you can find in it. Jia Yan selected some geographical and historical information in a targeted manner. It was definitely not a top-secret version, but it was enough for a person like him who knew nothing to understand a new place. Oh! There are all kinds of forces, including cultivating sex, chambers of commerce, politicians, etc. There are so many different kinds. After looking at it for a long time, Jia Yan became more interested in the feeling here. There is such harmony among such chaotic forces. It feels like this social model has come a long way. Okay, sect. There seems to be a lot of news on the road that this sect or that sect is recruiting people. Why don't I give it a try? Along the way, Jia Yan saw big character posters posted on the wall, saying that they were expropriating forces such as certain sects and sects. According to the information he obtained, this phenomenon is the result of everyone's negotiation, that is, although other forces cannot enter your sphere of influence, everyone can put up their own posters at will, and no one can interfere with where talents want to go. The surrender of a star and a half-star must not be too trivial in this star field. Although Jia Yan saw a lot of semi-star class people waiting for the train along the way, this was because the trains were of the semi-star class with the most seats, and even the venerable class people couldn't afford to sit on them, while the starry class only it is even more difficult to come and sit on it. The lower heaven level and earth level are only possible for those with a little money, so it is normal for the station planet to have semi-star level existence. As for a star and a half, at least from Jia Yan's point of view, the treatment should not be too bad. Besides, I also read the description of this star field. Because they are relatively stable internally and even have a harmonious society, there are very few battles. There are even fewer strong people who are proficient in fighting. The overall combat effectiveness in this starry sky belongs to a very weak person is always coveted by others, so let alone exporting his own advanced social form, he is almost defeated by others. And if I define it as an outsider with good fighting ability, and join certain forces, the income should not be too small. Jia Yang thought that with his clone strength of a half-star level existence, he could make some money so that his real body could have more capital to recover. What makes people feel even more exaggerated is that in such a star field, because the society is harmonious and stable, and the people work hard, the per capita purchasing power and income are extremely high, and there is a lot of wealth. However, there are many foreign enemies. Everyone wants to tear this star apart. The domain is a mouthful of meat, so they really hope that warriors from the outside will join them. If you insist on talking about it. This is the mercenary system. The country as a whole is not strong enough in combat, but it is rich and oily. It will naturally want strong support from the outside world, even with a little money. Moreover, the strength of this society is too scattered. A few large forces cannot even manage the entire star field. Everyone is supporting their own troops. Every foreign super combat power will attract countless forces to pay a high price to protect themselves. Power interests. This is Jia Yan's opportunity. Haha, the strongest people in this star field are not even the domain lord. They are just a group of masters at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. They use the method of paying tribute every day to win over a certain domain lord. This is why this star field is not destroyed. It has become a piece of meat in other people's mouths, but the domain master has become more and more indifferent to the star domain. It seems that he himself also wants to covet the star domain. Under this situation, this star domain is really overwhelming. The fighting power from the outside is very much needed. As Jia Yan walked, he entered the subspace. Is he waiting for the bus? It's simply impossible. The train can't move as fast as him in subspace. 3 or 4 days later, there was a sect recruitment conference. There's a completely black creature over there, and it's so hairy. It seems that we have never seen such a guy in the star territory. He shouldn't be a race in our star territory. Could he be a strong man from the outside world? Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2016. Coming from the outside world? You have to be careful. On this day, Lin An sect leader, a creature of the first level of the galaxy, heard that there were another group of people coming to join the sect from the outside world. Especially when he heard that there was a half-star strong man from the outside world, his eyes suddenly lit up. As a person who has been together in this harmonious star territory all his life, although he is the leader of a faction and a powerful man who has reached the primary level of existence in the galaxy, he understands very well that their star territory, the strong people here, are different from other places. Their combat power belongs to the theoretical school. Because it is too harmonious, there is no fighting at all, so the combat effectiveness is not good. So he understands very well that even though he is a galaxy-level being, his combat effectiveness is definitely much weaker than that of the galaxy-level beings outside. He may even be as weak as the rural galaxy-level beings outside the Milky Way central star region. Of course, he will not admit this. Therefore, the forces in this star field will attach great importance to strong people from the outside world. But this time, there was actually a semi-star level outside visitor, and he would not give up. Although the half-star class is not the main powerhouse in the war, it can still play a big role. He felt that he needed to take a look at this semi-star level. If he was the kind of being who could be promoted to the star level quickly, he would have found a treasure. A star-level being with good fighting ability from the outside world, even if it is only a junior level, is likely to defeat their mid-level star-level being here, which will have a huge impact on the battle situation. But this is just talk. There are many wars in this star field now. If we can quarrel, we won't fight. If we can be cruel, we won't fight. If we can't fight, we won't fight. So in terms of combat power, he still wanted to see how powerful this person was. If he was a strong man, then he would accept it. It wouldn't matter if the price was higher. After all, there wasn't much else in this star field, but there was a lot of money. Sir, that's the new half-star existence over there. One, with his star-level creature, led this one to the place where they were recruiting new people. With the appearance of the Linen faction leader, the half-star existence over there seemed to be a little surprised, and they quickly discovered the arrival of this galaxy mid-level person. This is on a planet, and the opponent's huge and unique galaxy-level body is naturally very eye-catching. Is this the leader of the Linen sect? Oh my god, a Gala-level leader would actually be dispatched for a welcome party? This Linen sect is so thirsty for talents. Several of the surrounding venerables, either half-star level or a star-level expert, were all sighing. They didn't think that they had the ability to make a galactic class come out to greet them, so they thought this was a friendly gesture from the Linen faction. Oh, this guy is probably coming towards me. I wonder if he can tell that I am a mid-level clone of the galaxy. Jia Yan looked at this beginning powerhouse of the galaxy with interest. It was indeed weak as many star-level stars in the outside world. He had never seen such a weak star-level star in the central star field of the Milky Way. It seems that in the Milky Way Zhenxiang domain, there are all kinds of people supported by the same rice. Even if they are strong, they may not necessarily be strong. Jia Yan smiled slightly and understood another true view of the star field. If you want to have more wealth and develop well, it means that the strong cannot become stronger. At least this entry-level existence of the galaxy gave him such a feeling. Therefore, nothing is absolutely perfect, and this is the shortcoming of good development. Jia Yan was not afraid of the other party. If he sees that he is a mid-level being from the galaxy, he will leave with a smile. After all, the other party is only a junior being from the galaxy. What can he do if the clone of a mid-level being from the galaxy sneaks into their sect? Moreover, this galaxy intermediate is still an alien galaxy intermediate. Not only is he powerful in combat, he also has no malicious intent. He just wants to come and have a look. Their star field has long been relatively weak, and many outsiders are coming. Bullying them, how dare they establish a more powerful mid-level galaxy enemy? That's right, Jia Yan is convinced of the powerful beings in this star field. He is even eager to try and see if he can deal with the most powerful beings at the top of the mid-level galaxy in this star field. Of course, this is a bit too miserable for people. They have been bullied like this by outsiders. If Jia Yan goes to their star field to fight them again, it will really make people cry. What's more, to say that this star field is weak is in terms of overall strength, but the peak of intermediate galaxy is the peak of intermediate galaxy. For their strength is almost so different that there shouldn't be a huge difference, so it is still very possible it's not something Jia Yan can deal with. Of course, that's now. It's hard to say in the future when his injuries are repaired and his strength will be further improved. Is this the one? Little brother, are you a semi-star powerhouse from outside? Jia Yan was still worried that the other party could see him, but with just one word, Jia Yan gave up this idea. This strong man really couldn't see his own clone. Well, it also shows that Jia Yan's avatar brainwave power control ability is good, and it doesn't make others see anything. It's not that you are weak, it's really not that you are weak, okay. Jia Yan gave the other party a little face, but at this moment he was still thinking that this magical central star field of the Milky Way really did not disappoint him. Sure enough, there were all kinds of stars in the sky. Hello, I am from the outside world. Jia Yan nodded, his attitude neither humble nor arrogant. The other party felt a little unhappy. Although he is a novice of the galaxy in this harmonious star field, he is at least a novice of the galaxy. He is a star and a half, but he actually wants to look down on himself? Lord Faction Leader, he just said that he was forced to leave the previous star field because of his bad temper. The interviewer who led the leader of the Linen faction quickly transmitted his brainwave power to the leader. Oh, yes, how could I forget? The faction leader nodded quickly. He looked at Jia Yan. Can you tell me how strong your strength is at the semi-star level? How close is it to the star level? Jia Yan thought for a while, then said, I can't guarantee how strong my strength is at the half-star level, but in your sect, I don't think there is a half-star level being who can beat me. What a loud tone. This is simply too much of a lie. Our Linen sect has thousands of half-stars after all, and there are also half-stars like you from the outside world. You actually said that there are half-stars in our Linen section. No one can defeat you. The Linen faction members in the surrounding group were about to jump to their feet. In this star field, everyone's sense of identification with their respective forces is extremely strong. But Jia Yan was actually slapping their entire sect's half-star powerhouse in the face. This is no different from hitting Lin Anpai in the face. Oh, little brother, do you know what you are saying? You can't take back what you say. The opponent's primary leader of the Galaxy faction had an unattractive light flashing in his eyes. Apparently, he wasn't happy either. For a small half-star like Jia Yan, his ability to offend people is quite good. Even a Galaxy beginner like him, who hardly likes to do anything, feels like he wants to kill people. That's the truth. If the leader of the faction is willing, you can send some half-stars to compete with me. If I can't beat me, I will choose to leave in despair. But if I win, can I make a request? Jia Yan didn't look afraid at all. A request? What kind of request? I have to listen to it before I can decide. The other party was still angry and would not agree to Jia Yan's request in one breath. Otherwise, he would be embarrassed if Jia Yan told him to commit suicide. My request is very simple, that is, if I defeat all the semi-star level people in your Linen sect, then give me a year's star level treatment, neither too high nor too low, the treatment of ordinary star level experts. That's it? Hiss. This is a request. This guy's name is Jia Yan, right? He actually made such a request. Does he regard himself as a star? I'm afraid it's just a joke. A half-star wants to be treated like a star. Even if he does it, what will a star-level expert think? They will definitely cause trouble for him. The group of onlookers around were slightly shocked. They know that the gap between half-star level and star level is still huge, but Jia Yan actually ignores this gap and wants to achieve the same income as star level. Even if he achieved the great feat of defeating all semi-star teams, this was still not the reason why he could be promoted to a star-level team. The other party was also shocked by Jia Yan's request. A star-level treatment is not a small contribution to their Linen faction. But the problem is that the opponent is a semi-constant breath level, and does not have the strength of a star level at all. Even if he can defeat the entire Linen sect's half-star level, it is impossible to achieve the strength of a star level. Besides, he immediately offended the semi-star level and the star level, and if he didn't do well in the future, he would just run away, and the Linen faction would be so angry that they would jump away. Of course, the existence of this faction leader is unknown. Even if Jia Yan doesn't offend anyone, he probably won't be able to work for a few years and will definitely have to run away. There is no way around this kind of thing. Every force will face the consequences of people coming and going. If it is too tough, judging from the current situation of the galaxy being short of manpower, that force will soon be destroyed. What? Is the Linen faction so unsure of their semi-star subordinates? Jia Yan suddenly laughed lightly. This smile almost made the surrounding people angry, causing everyone to besiege him. Even the faction leader's eyes flashed with anger. He nodded. Very well, Jia Yan, since you have ignored my majesty as a galaxy-level person and directly slandered my Linen faction, then I will let you see that the existence of a force and the foundation of a force are not that simple. You challenge the half-star powerhouses in our entire Linen section. I won't make excessive demands on you. The last time the half-star level beings in our sect held a competition, I asked the top 10 of them to do so. Compared with you, since you are so powerful, you shouldn't be afraid of will battles. After all, everyone is pressed for time, and no one will give you a few days to fight slowly. This request is very excessive. Jia Yan wants to challenge the whole sect to a half-star level. His original intention is not to challenge thousands of people by one person. The leader of the faction was not that excessive, but he proposed that letting Jia Yan compete against the top 10 semi-star level beings was like asking Jia Yan to definitely spend a lot of physical energy but not necessarily win. Can Everyone originally thought that Jia Yan would definitely bargain, but unexpectedly, he actually agreed immediately. Very good, let's start later. I want to see with my own eyes what the strength of an outsider like you with such a big mouth is. When the leader of the faction snorted coldly and walked towards the place on the planet that was specially designed for strong men to compete, a group of people from the Linen faction around them were also furious. They were all waiting to see when Jia Yan would make a fool of himself. Do you think Jia Yan will be the first to fail? It's hard to say. If someone dares to come to Lin An's lair and say something like this, it means that he must be sure. So the first one, even if he sends the strongest half-star in our force, it is probably not that easy to win. Besides, in the first battle, the leader of the faction will definitely not send the strongest, but the weak ones to test the depth of Jia Yan. I think so it's natural that he will win the first one. I guess, the first one delivers food, the second one is a little stronger, and the third one crushes him. Besides, Jia Yan's strength should be gone when he hits the third one, so I think he will fall to the ground. About the third one. The few of them were walking and looking for the book garden while discussing the venerable level and the half-star level. They were all like friends of the same level, gossiping about when Jia Yan would be defeated. In fact, Jia Yan heard these things all the way along the way. He shook his head slightly. If it's a star level, I still think it's unlikely, but a half-star level. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was a galaxy-level being. It would be a shame if his clone couldn't even sweep through half-star level. Besides, Jia Yan wasn't really working hard for any reward. He was just trying to test whether the faction leader was pretending not to know that he was the clone of a mid-level galaxy existence. But he never expected that even though the other party was so angry, he still didn't see that he was a mid-level galaxy clone. This left Jia Yan speechless. If he was a hostile semi-star mid-level, and his clone suddenly attracted the faction leader's attention just now, and then his real body suddenly burst out of the subspace, he would probably hit him with a single blow. Just die. Of course, even if the opponent faced Jia Yan head-on, he would die in one blow. The strength gap between the two sides was really too big. The group of people walked and walked. The planet didn't look too big, but it was actually quite big. After walking for at least 20 or 30 minutes, the faction leader, who was several hundred meters in size, stopped in an empty place. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2017. This is where you will fight. I have already called the top 10 people to come over. Please wait a moment. After all, he is the leader of a faction, so he still needs to have a certain amount of magnanimity. Okay. Jia Yan did not provoke others anymore, otherwise it would be no good for him to make them angry or even delay wages in the future. The leader of the Linen faction is standing on the ground, 20 kilometers high, while Jia Yan and other creatures are only a few hundred meters away, like a swarm of ants standing at the bottom of a mountain. But this faction leader didn't put on any airs, and besides being a little hostile towards Jia Yan, he was pretty good to others. At least he didn't look like a strong man from the outside world, and he had such a sense of superiority that he was even treated better than Jia Yan. The weak should have a much more fair and equal attitude. Such a society is really advanced, right? Looking at their reports and articles, it is true that they are advanced, but the problem is that they are too weak. Jia Yan looked at the harmonious scenery around him and sighed slightly. This kind of social system seems very reasonable, and everyone lives a relatively dignified life, but it is basically like the Song dynasty of China in the past. The entire country is strong, but the problem is that it is weak in one of the most necessary areas, and that is the military. The strength is weak. This is the case in this society, and its military strength is extremely weak. You are an outsider, you must have some strange views on our star field, right? Haha. After the faction leader was angry for a while, he actually came to talk to Jia Yan. This is a show of goodwill. Although he doesn't think Jia Yan can defeat all the half-stars here, the fact that Jia Yan dares to say such big words shows that Jia Yan has confidence. People with confidence are capable. In this way, we need to make friends a little better, so that we can be more able to direct them in the future. This faction leader still has certain management capabilities. Yes, your place is so different from the outside world. Jia Yan nodded and spoke bluntly. Do you think the creatures here are too equal? In fact, at least tens of thousands of years ago, our star field was still the same as the outside world. Killings continued. Finally, an extremely powerful man appeared and came to our area. Star territory, ruled this place with force, and then he believed that his rule should be distinguished from the ups and downs of the outside world, and then he gave up most of his rights, and also formulated terms to ensure that the strong ones in the future would not. The emergence of the starry sky will make the past mistakes repeat, and let the strong become the supreme of the entire starry sky. This is a regression of society. In the end, our star field has become like this, and not only our place, the surrounding starry sky has been affected to some extent. The strong are not the strongest in the central star field of the entire galaxy, or even the weak ones, but the ordinary creatures here live with dignity, and there are countless immigrants from the outside every year. For us, this is what we pursue. Powerful. The sect leader's words made Jia Yandu look slightly sideways. You know, he had always thought that the leader of the faction did not have a very strong vision and his words were not that profound. He did not expect that he could actually say such things. To Jia Yan, this seems to be a true truth. This shows that the powerful people in this star field have a very clear understanding of reality and their shortcomings, but they just want this result. It seems that I have despised you. Jia Yan nodded. The primary sect leader of Xing was slightly shocked when he heard that Jia Yan spoke to them so equally and even boldly. An average half-star level dare to say such a thing? He couldn't help but look at Jia Yan carefully again. To be honest, the strong ones in this starry sky are weak and inexperienced, so they cannot recognize the clone of a strong one. But no matter how weak he is still the primary being of the galaxy. If you look carefully, the uniqueness of Jia Yan will gradually appear. How is it possible? Such a mellow brainwave power, and there is a weird aura of strength about him, which makes me a little wary. This guy. A hint of solemnity gradually rose in his heart, and an answer gradually came to his mind. But since the other party didn't say anything, he just thought that the other party was an ordinary joiner. Moreover, there are many such clones in their star field. Many powerful people are observing the existence of starry sky like theirs, because such starry sky is incompatible with the outside world, but many people think that this kind of starry sky has its own benefits. As a result, many powerful people in the outside world want to see if this harmonious society's operating model is good and whether their starry sky can work, so they use their clones to see. This guy is actually a clone of a strong man. That can prove it. The reason why he dares to challenge all the semi-star strong men is that if an existence with similar strength to me, even if it is just a clone of that kind of existence, can defeat he's a half-star, so there shouldn't be any problems. I didn't realize that he was a clone. Alas, his strength is indeed worse than the strong ones outside. This faction leader is extremely unwilling, but there is no other way. His strength is weak. Now that he knows Jia Yan's identity, he will no longer think that the other party can't beat the 10.5 stars in their sect. As expected, when the top 10 half-stars in the sect heard that outsiders were coming to join the sect, one of the half-stars said that he could defeat all the half-stars in the Linen sect. One by one came with overwhelming momentum and fierce flames. But the result was what Lin An's leader had expected. Jia Yan only used a little strength to defeat these 10.5 stars one by one. How about it, I said, if I join your sect, I can become a half-star leader. Do you think I can get a star-level salary? After Jia Yan defeated the last one, an outsider and half-star who was known as the strongest half-star of the Linen sect, he turned back and looked at the leader of the sect indifferently. It's okay, but, only half-star level. There was no joy or sorrow in the eyes of the faction leader, and he even asked Jia Yan this question in public in a way that others could not understand. Jia Yan also smiled slightly. He knew that it was only a matter of time before he was seen. If a galaxy-level being could not see the clones of other mid-level galactic beings at first, this could be explained by his lack of strength, but he could still be in front of him all the time. Even after fighting, if you still can't tell, then this galaxy-level being cannot be called a galaxy-level person at all. Haha, it's only half a star. I don't care about the rest. Jia Yan shook his head. Well, I will abide by our agreement and give you the salary of a star-level existence. I hope you won't be too short. The other party did not refuse, and directly agreed that Jia Yan's clone had a stellar salary. As soon as this statement came out, the surrounding creatures were all stunned and a little angry. Because although their force's money is not very small, it is definitely not as good as the big forces. Those powerful forces have middle-level galaxy powerhouses sitting in charge, but their Linen force only has one faction leader who is a primary-level galaxy person. And it's still the elementary level of galaxy that's not that strong. Therefore, for every additional star-level treatment person, the treatment of others will be slightly lower. But the problem is, this faction leader is the one who knows the current situation of their power best. Why would he give star-level treatment to this being who is only half-star level? Jia Yan nodded, without any surprise, and left with the person who arranged for him. Sir, how can you give him a star-level treatment? We can completely deny the previous remarks. Can't deny it? The faction leader shook his head. Can't deny it? Why? You don't understand. Anyway, if we use a star-level treatment to get this half-star, we may make money in the future. The leader of the Linen sect said mysteriously with a slight smile. He also doesn't know whether Jia Yan's clone belongs to a galaxy-level being released to take risks on behalf of his real body in the central star field of the Milky Way, or whether his real body is nearby. If it is nearby, if the clone is attacked by some powerful person, the real body may come out to fight back. After all, the loss of a clone is an extremely huge loss for a strong person. Oh, I don't understand. A group of creatures were all depressed, especially about the faction leader's decision. They almost didn't know why he did what he did. It's just that some smart people have thought of this. Could it be that the identity of the half-star is a bit special? Did the leader of the faction notice this? A few smart people got to the point directly, and then looked at the half-star who followed their sect insiders to leave, and their eyes were obviously more solemn. For even a faction leader to treat an existence like this, it is estimated that there is either someone with some strength behind him, or is it the clone of a powerful person himself? Things like clones are not uncommon for strong people. Almost every strong person will have a clone. Some strong people even release their clones to travel outside all the time. Therefore, for a situation like a clone, many ordinary strong men know it clearly. If he is the clone of a strong man, it may give him the status of a stellar powerhouse. It's a pity that we don't know where his true body is. If we know where his true body is, our forces may be able to let's try to win over each other, even if it doesn't work, and create a more friendly atmosphere, we can feel a little more confident. This is the importance of a galaxy-level existence. Even if none of these people believe that Jia Yan has a real body, they all suddenly have a little more respect for Jia Yan. Of course, the sect leader didn't say it clearly, so naturally most people in the sect still don't understand the ins and outs of it. Many people even think that the sect leader just does what he says, so he can't go back on his words, so, it became a situation where Jia Yan went from a star level and a half star to a star level treatment. Many half stars were cursing. Because they all received semi-star treatment, even those who were defeated by Jia Yan were not weak in strength. They were almost not much different from other semi-star powerhouses. But this being who fought with them just defeated them and actually received the treatment of a star? It is no joke to know that the treatment of a star-level person is as much as 10.5 star-level experts. Every one of them was jealous. If you ask me, Jia Yan is not that powerful. Although I was the strongest among the half-stars before, among the half-stars in the outside world, anyone who wants to defeat me with just one move would be very weak. This Jia Yan just defeated me, but the leader of the faction actually gave him stellar treatment, which disappoints me so much. No, I think his strength is pretty good. You don't have to belittle yourself too much and say he's not great. It's true that he's great. Even in my opinion, among the semi-star level existences in the outside world, there is no one as powerful as him. It is estimated that he has already reached the critical point of semi-star level. If he boasts one more step, he will enter the star level. It is estimated that our faction leader values this and allows him to stay with stellar treatment. Haha, we can't beat them. We just can't beat them. Why talk so much? In short, if he wants to stay in our Linen faction, it's not that simple. Maybe someone will cause trouble for him later. That's right, not to mention that the tasks of our Linen faction are not easy. Such people usually have a lot of arrogance. After a while, when they get tired of doing tasks, they may leave on their own, and when the time comes, the first and second class in the half-star class will be back in our hands. Among these half-stars, there are the first and second strongest who fought with Jia Yan before, and there are 6 in the top 10. Each of them is a little unconvinced with Jia Yan, especially with his treatment. They are even more unconvinced. If he is a little stronger, can't he kill them one by one? Isn't it the same half-star level? Why can Jia Yan be treated like a star? They were jealous. Okay, let's do this. In the future, our half-star class will go out for exercises every once in a while. I will definitely still be the commander then. Let's see how I deal with him. The first place semi-star existence is really unwilling to hand over his first place position. Although his salary is not much more than others, he likes the feeling of being superior. After all, he is in a faction. Here, being the boss of a certain level is an extremely comfortable feeling. Not to mention the command authority, other semi-star level beings will willingly give him things, so that he can earn extra income. But when a half-star who is more powerful than him comes, how else can he receive gifts? Jia Yan's black giant dog clone was arranged to a remote mountainous area on a planet. It didn't take long to fly and we arrived, very close to the main building complex of Linen Sect. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2018. A planet is a planet, even if it is a so-called mountainous area. To a creature that is several hundred meters long, it is just like a small mountain forest landscape, and the environment can be said to be good. This place is good, I will choose this place. Jia Yan sat down immediately. The creature who came with Jia Yan looked unhappy. What does good mean? Ordinary half-star level beings are still crowded with other half-star level beings. You alone are equivalent to star level treatment, and it is actually not bad. He didn't speak to Jia Yan Duo, just said hello and flew away directly. Haha, I still have a bit of a temper. Jia Yan smiled. He didn't even enter the huge house arranged for him. Looking around, no one looked at him, so he stepped back and entered the subspace. Buzz. In the subspace, there is an individual larger than any other creature on this planet, waiting there. Just now, my avatar exchanged a few unique energy stones for cultivation in this star field to see how good they are. Jia Yan took an energy stone that his clone carried in. I deliberately used my real body to test it, just to make myself feel more deeply. After a few minutes, he was slightly shocked. Sure enough, this energy stone is much better than those from the outside world. Is this an expansion of the unique social capabilities of this harmonious star field? Jia Yan felt the power of this energy stone. Although he only changed a few high-level energy stones, which were not the most proud special energy stones in the Harmony Star territory, he could practice with such high-level ones. Sure enough, in the central star field of the Milky Way, each star field will have its own characteristics, and there will be surprises everywhere. Jia Yan sighed. In fact, he went to only a few star fields, but each one had something that would surprise him. This is the amazing thing about the Milky Way central star field. And he also knows that in the central star field of the Milky Way, it is not that no one can attack a weak star field like this, but many strong people are weighing whether it is worth it. For example, in the harmonious star territory, even though there has always been bullying and oppression from the outside world, there are not many star territories that really want to annex it. Of course, there must be some, but there are external forces to check and balance. The reason is very simple. Jia Yan is not the only one who can see that the development of manufacturing and technology in the Harmony Star region comes from society. This point of view is not the only one, or it should be said that everyone can see it. So the question is, if it is annexed by other star fields, will the Harmony Star territory still have the development capabilities it has today? Definitely not. In that case, instead of annexing the Harmony Star territory, which would set back the Harmony Star territory, or even become a small burden that would hold back our own star territory, it would be better to let them develop on their own and just lower the price a little, so that it would be extremely valuable to other star territories. This is a good thing. Even if other star fields want to take advantage of the harmonious star field, many surrounding star fields will attack them in groups, or try their best to help the vortex. Haha, it seems that I don't have to think that others are fools. Who would think of the things I can think of? Jia Yan was a bit self-deprecating. He looked at the small energy stone on his foot and dropped it into his mouth. It's too small, so I bought one that's about 10 meters by 10 meters. For a semi-star powerhouse, this is normal, but for one, it's 30 kilometers long, and the mouthparts and needles are dozens of meters tall. For a wide monster, 10 meters by 10 meters is nothing. It's just a taste and a feeling. Jia Yan shook his head. Such a small piece cannot have the slightest effect on him. But he could already feel that if there were more energy stones like this, or if they were replaced with what they call super energy stones, wouldn't it make him huge gains? This kind of thing is a great temptation for Jia Yan. Very good. If I hang around here for a while and get a firm foothold, I can try more to collect similar special grade energy stones in this starry sky. Jia Yan nodded, still very satisfied with settling in this starry sky. This starry sky was weak and produced good things. For him, it was almost the most wonderful place to settle in the central star field of the Milky Way. After trying it, his clone immediately exited the subspace. Buzz. Outside the subspace, the torn hole quickly closed. Seeing the clone leave like this, the real body slowly closed its eyes and sank into the depths of subspace. No matter how weak and defenseless the leader of the Linen sect is, he will still notice if another mid-level galaxy existence stays in the shallow space for too long. It's okay now, presumably even if he notices it, there will only be clues. When Jia Yan sank into the subspace and his clone tore the subspace apart and exited, not far from the planet, the leader of the Linen sect became slightly solemn. He was not a fool. There was someone tearing apart subspace right next to him, So how could he not know about it at all? Well, that Jia Yan, well, it seems that either his real body is nearby, or his clone's warship is staying in the subspace. He is a being with the talent of subspace, his combat power will definitely be higher than that of ordinary people. The order should be stronger. This sect leader is envious. Although he doesn't know how powerful Jia Yan's true form is, he knows that with the talent of subspace, even if Jia Yan is just a primary existence of subspace with similar combat power to him, but the escape ability is much stronger than him. Beings like him can only smile bitterly. Talent does not matter whether you are a strong man from the central star field of the Milky Way or a strong man from the countryside. Even if he is the leader of a faction, if you don't have talent, you don't have talent. Fortunately, his talent is not bad, otherwise he would not be able to become a primary being of the galaxy. Although he is only a primary being with weak combat power, the galaxy level is still a relatively powerful person in the entire galaxy, even in the central star field of the Milky Way. Same. So after thinking about it, he no longer envied Jia Yan. Your Excellency Jia Yan, when he joined our Linen faction, he probably didn't want to do anything sabotage, because he is strong enough and it's not that complicated to do sabotage, and seeing how he bargained with me on salary. No, I must be overthinking it. It's impossible for a galaxy-level powerhouse to care about the income of a star-level person. But, if there is really such a possibility, if this strong man is really at the end of his rope and is unwilling to do bad things, he will first use his clone to work. He kept guessing like this, and finally got a headache. For a small sect like a galaxy-level person who comes out of nowhere, even if it is just a clone, they need to pay full attention to it. At this time, the sect leader has not told anyone his observations because he feels that if Jia Yan is really sincere, he should explain it to him himself. But what disappoints this galaxy being is that Jia Yan, who joined their Linen sect, did not even come to see him after entering their sect for a period of time, let alone give him any explanation. A full half-month has passed, and the newly arrived powerful man has been staying in his residence, and even released his brainwave power, creating a field-like effect, and no one is allowed to come close. Sir, leader of the sect, this Jia Yan has gone too far. He joined our sect and actually doesn't want to do things. I tried to go over and ask him to do things several times, but in the end I didn't even see anyone else. A stellar powerhouse who came to report to the leader of the Linen faction said with a bit of resentment towards the leader. In fact, his attitude was mostly towards the faction leader, because they had said before that they wanted to give Jia Yan a mandatory task, but the faction leader did not agree. What does this mean? A newcomer who just joined is not given any tasks, and this person is still enjoying their star-level treatment. Each of their star-level people works until death. This half-star level is different from them. Same treatment, but no need to work. Many people are secretly guessing whether Jia Yan is the illegitimate son of the sect leader. Of course, this kind of thing is almost impossible, because the leader of the faction has never had a family in his life, where is the illegitimate child, and he has no interest in females at all. Besides, taking a step back, such a thing may happen to him, but Jia Yan and the sect leader have almost two different appearances. In this era, the blood of the strong can easily create the same appearance. Jia Yan looks nothing like him, so there is no way he could be an illegitimate child. Anyway, I feel a little unhappy with this faction leader privately. Is that so? The leader stopped what he was doing and hesitated for a moment. He didn't know how to face the existence that might be the clone of a strong man. Giving tasks is a tentative thing, but I didn't expect that Jia Yan was so stubborn that he refused to accept any tasks. No, since he is a strong man, and he is a strong man who has principles to make money, then he will not fail to do something. There must be some problem on our side. Could it be that the task is not to his taste? The faction leader was thinking. The star-level beings around them are waiting slowly. Anyway, the situation in their star field is very different from the outside world. Even if they are a star-level person, if they want to confront their boss or a stronger person, they will not have much trouble. The big problem is that in the star field, the prestige of the strong is not as great as imagined. Let's do this. You give him a slightly more difficult task, such as a small-scale vendetta, which our sect has not solved for many years. The faction leader finally spoke. Huh? Give him a vendetta mission, this. The stellar being was slightly startled. He had no idea that Jia Yan was the clone of a powerful man, so he thought it would be a bit difficult to give Jia Yan such a task. It's not that I doubt Jia Yan's strength. A half-star level vendetta mission has a high chance of being completed for a creature that can defeat all half-star level beings in their sect. But the problem is, he doesn't even do small tasks. How can he do such a task that requires fighting? Anyway, you give it a try. If it doesn't work, come and ask me again. I will personally come out and ask him. Remember, don't speak to him in a too harsh tone. The faction leader was afraid that the stellar being who was going to do something would be disrespectful to Jia Yan, so he did not forget to give him an instruction. Okay. A star-level existence is, after all, a star-level person. Moreover, some people have already been rumoring whether this new semi-star level strongman will be the clone of a strong man, so he also half believed it. He came into contact with Jia Yan with a certain attitude, but he didn't think that Jia Yan wouldn't even give him face as the mission dispatcher, so he was unhappy with this half-star promotion. Now the attitude of the faction leader was like a reminder to him, and he suddenly understood Jia Yan more clearly. Either the clone of a strong man, or a young man with great background. Anyway, he is only a star, and has some reputation outside the Milky Way Central Star region, but within the galaxy Central Star region, he belongs to the middle and high level, so it is better not to take risks. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I am here to inform you of the new mission on the orders of the leader of the faction. Not long after, this stellar being flew to a mountainous area where Jia Yan was located. Looking at the surrounding mountainous terrain, the environment, and the good air, this star was a little jealous, because his residence was not as good as Jia Yan's. Under the mountain forest, among the trees, a huge black dog-like creature was crawling on the ground. Hearing the words from above, he just rolled his eyelids slightly and did not move. This attitude of complete disregard made the anger in the heart of the star level almost burn. But he remembered the words of the faction leader, took a slight breath, and then continued to speak calmly. Your Excellency Jia Yan, the faction leader said that you probably don't want to do those ordinary small tasks, so this time he asked me to send a slightly difficult task. The average half-star level can't do it well at all. You see, for such a task. Are you interested? After he finished speaking, he unfolded a huge light screen. Within the light screen was the content of the mission. On the virtual light screen, the mission content flashed, and the giant dog creature underneath was visible. Gradually, the unwillingness to move in his eyes gradually disappeared. The giant dog didn't read 2 lines before it changed from a prone position to lying down. Then, he said calmly, "Tell me, when will this mission start, where is the destination, who needs to be dealt with, and is there any reward?" Jia Yan asked a series of questions, making the star-level creature instantly happy. You know, Jia Yan's existence is like a headache to him. He doesn't know what to do with the target of the mission. Jia Yan had refused several previous tasks. He thought this guy was just here to eat and wait to die. Unexpectedly, after listening to the leader of the faction and giving him an extremely difficult task, he would actually be interested. I will tell you the specific information about the mission later. As for rewards and the like, there must be some. Such a dangerous mission requires a half-star powerhouse to do it. If you can complete it, there will definitely be many. The reward, what, are you willing to do it? The voice was full of surprise. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2019. This star still can't believe that Jia Yan is actually willing to do the task. What's wrong with me wanting to do a mission? Haha, your faction leader is indeed a faction leader. He knows that I just don't want to do those tasks that are only done by ordinary half-stars, and what I need is a reward. He understands me very well. The black dog creature slowly stood up, and then its huge body of several hundred meters gradually flew to the side of this star-level creature. As he flew over, the star-level being, who was obviously bigger than this black dog's body, actually felt a little bit oppressed. He was suddenly frightened and shook his head, wondering if he was stupid, as he was almost frightened by a half-star creature. A star level is a star level. If you are with 1.5 stars, you will feel the pressure. Then the star level is fake. Humph, it has such power. It is indeed an existence that can suppress all half-stars. The other party snorted coldly, but he still remembered that Jia Yan might be the clone of a strong man, so he was not too disrespectful. After handing over the mission's brain data, the star looked deeply at Jia Yan and then took off. Let's see what the hell this mission is. Jia Yan smiled slightly and looked at the data in his hand. It turns out to be a dispute with another force. Although there are not that many battles in this star field, there are still disputes. In this case, there will be fewer wars than in the outside world, but there are other solutions to the disputes. That is to fight with the strong ones in hand, and there are factors such as geographical location and certain restrictions. For example, the task I took on this time is a dispute between half-star level beings, in order to solve the problem in a certain place. Turf wars. When Jia Yan saw this, he felt slightly solemn. It's not that he felt the task itself was difficult, but that in such a battle, he, a clone of a galaxy-level being, went to fight. If other galaxy-level beings saw any clues, where would he turn his face? You, a majestic galaxy class, actually have the nerve to use your own clone to fight a star and a half-star over a little territorial dispute. Let's face it, the opponent's loss is not big, just a piece of territory, but someone like Jia Yan, the reputation of a galaxy-level person is not so good. But that's all Jia Yan thought about. He didn't think that the embarrassment of a clone could affect him. Moreover, if something goes wrong with this clone, then he can just change it. Unlike other galaxy-level powerhouses, he has many clones. Jia Yan took off and flew beyond the starry sky. Is this Jia Yan leaving like this? Doesn't he even need a battleship? I heard that when he came, he suddenly came to the outside of our starry sky. Maybe he hid his battleship somewhere. This is a strong man from the outside world. He can even hide his own battleship so well and be so vigilant. He is indeed much more powerful than the strong men in our star field. No wonder he can defeat so many half-stars. Super powerful. Oh, this kind of thing requires experience to learn. It's useless for us to just watch, but to experience it in the outside world. I won't go. Under this planet, everyone, strong or not so strong, are watching Jia Yan leave. They also misunderstood, thinking that Jia Yan's battleship was not far away. But Jia Yan himself knows where the battleship he came from is, either the Adisha. The adorable Disha is no longer a battleship, but a backpack of the real body. After all, the real body is too big, how can there be so many battleships? Can ride. Puff. Not long after flying into the outer space, Jia Yan directly entered the subspace. No one has seen it. As for whether the faction leader will see it, Jia Yan doesn't care so much, because he knows very well that a galaxy-level person has lived in close proximity with him for so many days. If the other party hasn't noticed him yet, there is some doubt, then this galaxy level is really not competent enough. Is it another subspace talent? His battleship is in subspace, or is his true body in subspace? Below the planet, the faction leader indeed saw Jia Yan entering the subspace. He was suspicious. When Jia Yan entered the subspace, was there a battleship waiting inside, or was there his true body? If the battleship is okay, it's just a clone acting in the universe, but if his real body is here, the leader of the faction will be restless. After all, how can you allow others to sleep peacefully on the side of the bed? Moreover, he didn't know what actions Jia Yan's real body would take and what its purpose was. If he wanted to seize their sex property or something, then even he would be extremely dangerous. One is in the light and the other is in the dark. Not to mention the strength, even if Jia Yan's real body is weaker than him at the galaxy level, he will be unlucky under a sneak attack. But I think the other party doesn't have so much malicious intent, otherwise he wouldn't have been honest for so long. This was the only way he could comfort himself. He just wanted to see if Jia Yan would complete their mission well this time. If he was willing, it also meant that Jia Yan should not have the heart to seek wealth and death. Besides, if Jia Yan is of those who want to take action should also consider the consequences. It is not that there are no strong people in their star domain. Even if Jia Yan is a peak mid-level star, he still has to worry about the thoughts of outside domain masters. This is containment. Unless a galaxy-level being comes from a distant place, or if he wants to continue hanging around here, he should not attack their sect easily. Within the subspace, Jia Yan certainly had no bad thoughts about this sect. However, it is not absolute to say that it is not at all. At this time, Jia Yan's real body is relatively weak, and he is in urgent need of something that can restore his strength. If this sect has it, then he may really take action. Bang! Jia Yan's giant dog clone directly entered the interior of the Edisha behind his real body. And in front of the Edisha is Jia Yan's true body. The real body directly put on the Edisha, thought for a while, and then decided that his real body and the clone would act together. It's not that he is worried about his real body, but he wants to use his real body to see this so-called mission, because he is very interested in many methods of doing things in this star field. If you only use clones, you will not be strong enough, and you may not understand some things. Is this a competition between forces? Haha, it is quite a civilized way. It is to use the battle between half-star powerhouses to decide the turf war. It feels a bit petty. Jia Yan smiled, and while thinking about this, his real body flew up. If the Linen sect behind the scenes actually found out that a middle-level being from the galaxy was involved in this matter, they would definitely be extremely surprised. In a small turf war, they would definitely find a middle-level being from the galaxy that they did not have in their section. I feel honored, and if this galaxy intermediate is willing to intervene, it will not be a problem in such a small area, but the enemy will give up a large area of interests. In fact, things turned out to be more petty than Jia Yan imagined. When his true form quickly left Lin Angxing's location and arrived at another sect 2 days away, the other party sent a large number of low-level strength beings to greet him. It's better to say it's a welcome than a demonstration or ridicule. Ha ha ha, is this the new half-star level that Lin Anpai mentioned last time? They actually sent a new half-star class. Is there no one left in the Linen sect? Our faction has been waiting for so long, and now a new member is here. Lin An's faction must have given up. Ha 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 ha, what does this look like? It's actually a completely black animal. It's not easy for this species to survive in the starry sky. It must be a barbarian race. The strength must be average. Many of the greeters were sarcastic. But Jia Yan looked at these people indifferently, and the clone's canine face was extremely indifferent. This kind of small means is not like what a big force would do. Such a small force is too low level. But yes, this so-called sect only has one primary member of the galaxy, who is almost as powerful as the Linen sect. This is the opponent. Jia Yan. At the front of this group of creatures, there was a star-level being. A half-star level being came, and a star level being actually came to receive them. This was a sign that the other party valued this matter. Yes, I am Jia Yan. Okay, I am taking over this combat mission. Where are your manpower? Jia Yan doesn't care about those who mock him. He knows that this is a very superficial way to make the enemy lose a little momentum. Even those who fight in the starry sky will know that this is just a means of attacking people. But if enemies of similar strength fight, such a method can easily be effective. After all, no one is a completely emotionless creature, and they will always be able to resist being ridiculed. Is this the so-called geographical advantage battle? A child? You. Oh, are you in a hurry to fight now? Don't you want to take a good rest before talking? If you lose, don't blame us for cheating. No, I want to finish the fight quickly. I passed by a force on the road that sells some good products. I want to finish it quickly and go shopping. Jia Yan swore that this was the truth. He passed by a good influence sales meeting on the road, and there were some things that he was very interested in. But saying these words at this moment is the greatest contempt for the enemy. People made a big formation to welcome you, but you, on your side, didn't even care at all. You even said you wanted to end the fight quickly, so you ran to see what products? It's like the other party treats him with great dignity, but Jia Yan himself doesn't care at all. But as far as he is concerned, he really doesn't need to worry too much about this. A half-star battle is nothing to him, a mid-level star. But the other party was harsh. Asshole, this Jia Yan is a bit too poisonous. This is a powerful trick. It resolves our taunting tactics. We must learn it. It's awesome, but why do I feel so angry? This is definitely a counter-argument to us. I don't believe he really wants to see any products. The semi-star and venerable level creatures who were sarcastic around were all filled with indignation. Fortunately, they also knew that this was just the enemy's counterattack and did not arouse the public's anger. Very good, what an eloquent half-star. Your name is Jia Yan, right? I am very optimistic about you. Since you are willing to fight, then I will let our half-star appear. He is one of our forces. The most powerful half-star in recent times, like you, he has just joined our force. The other party snorted coldly, and then called out the semi-star level existence in his own force. The half-star came out, but it didn't cause Jia Yan to pay any attention. Strong means very strong. If Jia Yan hadn't come, it is estimated that no 1.5 stars in Lin An's force could defeat him, and there might not even be one who could take 5 moves. But the opponent is Jia Yan, so this matter is uncertain. Let's start. He didn't care, and this attitude made the other party extremely angry. Humph, I want to see how long you can keep pretending. The semi-star was too unhappy with Jia Yan's attitude, so he used all his strength in the first move. Puff. But what shocked everyone present was that Jia Yan only used one move. The other party flew out. Couldn't stand up at all. Ah! This. The stellar being was completely stunned. At that moment, even he, the star-level person in charge, felt a little bit of danger from Jia Yan's attack. In other words, if there was a fight, he, a star-level being, might be injured by this attack. Arrive. An attack that can hurt even a star level is naturally not something that a half-star level can handle. Okay, do you think this competition should be counted by Shiyuan? If not, we can have another one. Jia Yan said calmly. In fact, when he said this, he was observing behind the crowd of people fighting in front of him. There was the opponent's home planet there, and there was a primary being of the galaxy on the planet who was watching this scene. If the primary being of the galaxy senses Jia Yan's strength, then it is possible that he may raise objections to this battle. But the other party did not raise any objection. We will not lie. The Linen faction has won, and our sect will give up the street-sweeping task of the commercial star. Puff. Jia Yan was almost frightened and spat out at the words of the galaxy-level existence coming from the planet. He didn't look at the content of his mission seriously, but now that the other party told him, he realized that he had fought a fight and had to come with his real body. It turned out to be a street-sweeping mission on a commercial planet. Let me go. Speaking of it, I am really the most shameful mid-level existence in the galaxy. Jia Yan was a little dejected and couldn't afford to lose face. He was afraid that others would know he was coming, so he quickly handed over the documents and left quickly. Judging from the direction he left, it was really a place with strong commercial power. It is estimated that he really went to see the products there. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2020. Lord Sect Leader, this. After Jia Yan left, the star-level being flew to the planet and met the master of this force. The sect leader was a monkey-like being with piercing eyes. He kept staring at the starry sky where Jia Yan left, and after seeing him entering the next line, he withdrew his gaze. If you lose, you lose. It's just, this guy is dishonest. Haha, do the people from the Linen sect know his true identity? No, the leader of the Linen sect should be able to see it. If he sees it, he should be tolerated. Are you staying in the force just to do such a thing? Haha, a galaxy level, and it doesn't seem to be an ordinary galaxy level. This sect leader's vision seems to be more powerful than that of the leader of the Linen section. At least after Jia Yan took action, he recognized that the body Jia Yan was fighting with was just his clone. And he has been observing whether there are any other creatures in the interline behind Jia Yan. Just now, Jia Yan's clone entered the subspace, and he felt a hint of pressure, and then he judged that the other party should have a real body in this space. Fortunately, there was no real fight. If there was a fight, he, the sect leader, would have to fight. However, there is no big conflict of interests at the galaxy level, so they probably won't take action. Judging from the appearance of the other party, no one from Lin An's faction recognized his identity, otherwise they wouldn't have let a majestic galaxy-level clone come. What is the right thing to do to fight for the benefits of sweeping the streets? I wonder if our forces can win him over. This sect leader actually had such an idea. It's a pity that Jia Yan will not be won over, because he essentially does not want to be restrained by local forces. The previous Zerg Queen force is a lesson learned from the past. Of course, as long as the price is right, it is not impossible to consider it. Jia Yan needs money now, that is, energy. If there is a reasonable price, he will naturally be willing to take action. It's a pity that such a small force cannot give him the price he wants. The so-called learning of literature and martial arts and selling it to the emperor's family, this kind of power, let alone the emperor's family, is not even an ordinary small rich man. Oh, the little rich man still counts, but to a being like Jia Yan, it doesn't matter. Even if he wanted to do something, he would definitely go to the big forces. The Queen of Zerg force is a big force with good prospects, but it is not suitable for Jia Yan to return at this time. Besides, he is already familiar with it. As for the force, it is best if you join directly at the top, otherwise there will definitely be someone who will against you, you can't fight back. So he won't put too many restrictions on himself. After completing the mission, people over there should know about it, right? After all, Lin An's forces should have some spies or diplomats on this planet. Someone should have passed on the information by now. Jia Yan flies in the subspace, and his clone exists together with his real body. I did see some good things before, but I don't know if they will still be there now when I go back. The item Jia Yan saw was a state mixture suitable for his disposable armor. As long as it is coated with armor, it is likely to make the armor more impact resistant and more durable. Although the disposable armor is still disposable, it has a larger, it may even last 1 or 2 more blows. This is the advantage of being in the central star field of the Milky Way. There are good things everywhere, and there are also things that you can use. If you assemble it yourself, you are more likely to make something unique that no one can make. Of course, if Jia Yan wants to casually make his armor super, that is impossible, because it is basically disposable. Customer, are you sure you need so much? I've told you that this adhesive is for bonding, not for directly making armor. It can't be used at all. When it comes to the forces that want to buy things, Jia Yan uses his clone to come forward and buy them. Fortunately, this kind of adhesive is originally a specialty of this force. It is a substance secreted by a certain kind of vegetation that they specially cultivated, and then used a unique processing method to successfully create it. There is a lot of quantity, as much as you want. But Jia Yan asked for so much in one breath, and the salesperson was shocked. Especially when he heard that he was using it for his own use, he felt that this person had a brain problem. I have a unique role, so the price is only so much, right? It's not expensive. Jia Yan paid readily. This kind of material was much cheaper than a piece of armor, so he could certainly afford it. It didn't take long for him to enter the subspace. Only this time, one person in this seemingly ordinary force actually saw the existence of Jia Yan's clone. Is that person gone? Huh? Master of the faction. Why did you come out in person, that one? Do you mean the one who left just now? He left. He is only half-star. Why did you notice it in person? Could it be that he bought too many adhesive? Is this quantity sold too much? No, no, the amount we sell to other forces is hundreds or thousands of times more than this at a time. This is naturally not a problem. I mean his identity, you can't tell, he is a galaxy level, there may even be a clone of a mid-level galaxy existence. Ah! A clone of a mid-level being from the galaxy? Oh my god, I actually chatted with a mid-level being from the galaxy. Seeing his subordinates gaff, this elementary being in the galaxy was extremely helpless. He just looked at the starry sky that Jia Yan left just now. With his sight, he could see that this was when the black dog-like creature flew into the subspace. It's okay if you're just passing by, but if you're not passing by, then the problem will be big. In our land of stars, at least in half a light year, there is only one strongest galactic mid-level person. Now if there is another one. This leader of power was extremely vigilant and solemn about Jia Yan's appearance. But he just thought about it. There is still a huge difference between the existence of the intermediate level of the galaxy and them, especially the primary level of the galaxy in this starry sky. If they want to reach the middle level of the galaxy, there is an insurmountable distance. If you want to become an intermediate galaxy, you have to go to the outside world to fight and train, otherwise you will not be able to become an intermediate galaxy. This is also the reason for the disparity in strength between the two sides. Almost every one of the intermediate galaxy here can crush 10 local galaxy juniors. If you look at the outside world, the difference is not that big. At least the weak galaxy intermediate and the strong galaxy beginner cannot be as powerful as 10 of them. It would be interesting if a galaxy intermediate from the outside came, it would be quite interesting. I'm afraid we will become cannon fodder. This elementary creature from the galaxy smiled slightly and went straight into his training place without caring about so much. In the central star field of the Milky Way, there are many galactic levels and many intergalactic levels, so it is not too surprising to encounter an intergalactic level. If every intergalactic level reaction is so great, he will not need to practice every day. Just get through the fear and doubt. Therefore, it is not too late to investigate until something like this happens or there are more signs. Buzz. Inside the subspace, Jia Yan flies inside. Edisha, did you feel it just now? The primary creatures of the galaxy on that planet are a little different. Compared with the two primary creatures of the galaxy, they are slightly stronger. I think he saw through my clone. Ah. I didn't realize it. He knows the true identity of your clone. Wouldn't it be troublesome? Master, should we go further into the starry sky? Edisha had no doubts about what Jia Yan said. When she heard what Jia Yan said, she was immediately horrified. It has been frightened. After all, every time it is said to be discovered or something, it is always a big danger. Haha, that's not necessary. I just discovered that there are not many middle-level galaxies in the central star field of the Milky Way. Why do we have to hide every time they appear? Jia Yan shook his head. Besides, hasn't the energy of the Aditha been replenished yet? If I leave without even getting my first salary, then I'm too cowardly. That's right, if he didn't dare to take his first salary and left, Jia Yan could really be called the most cowardly galaxy mid-level player. How could there be such a galaxy mid-level player who would just run away after catching someone's attention? Haha, I'm overthinking it. Master, we have no enemies in this starry sky. Even if they find out about you, no one will come to deal with you. Besides, there don't seem to be many strong people here. You have really recovered. It's always the strongest group that takes action. As soon as Edisha heard what Jia Yan said, she immediately nodded. It really didn't have a good life with Jia Yan, and it was frightened. The strongest ones dare not say that. There are still some peak mid-level galactic beings in this star field, but apart from them, there are no domain lords. I am not afraid of other mid-level galactic beings. Jia Yan smiled confidently. Although he is not the strongest here, he will not be afraid to death of a domain lord like he is in other places. Even if he is still defeated by a peak mid-level being from the galaxy, the difference in strength will not be that huge. Once he has completely repaired his body, he will not lose even if he meets a mid-level being from the galaxy. Too ugly. After all, he has had several experiences facing the peak mid-level beings in the galaxy. There is a big gap in strength, but it can be made up with experience. Besides, if I can really repair it, I think my strength will be a little looser. After so many battles and the realization of life and death, if my strength is not loosened a little, then I really may there is no hope of becoming a territory lord in my life. Jia Yan believes that if he can repair his body, he will definitely improve his strength to a certain extent. Otherwise, his insights will be useless, which is a despairing thing. Also, use this adhesive in the subspace. If it doesn't stick well, there's nothing you can do about it. Try it first and then talk about it. Jia Yan stayed in the subspace for a long time, allowing the distortions to invade, but remained unmoved. He took out the adhesive he had purchased in bulk and began to make use of his two remaining sets of disposable armor. Because the star field here is relatively peaceful. Although they have developed well in industry, their similar combat equipment cannot be said to be advanced. If I sell a set of this armor, it will probably be sold at a sky-high price. Because although this place is not far away from dozens of light years away, the information is blocked and hindered, so no one must know that there is such armor over there yet. But after thinking about it, he gave up the idea of making a profit. There were actually too many things consumed on the way. If he used the Edisha to go back and forth, the energy lost by the Edisha would be as well as the loss of the Edisha itself. Are all unbearable for him, not to mention a galaxy mid-level running around for such a small price difference, which is embarrassing and a waste of his training time. If a set can be sold for more than 20 times the original price, I will regret it in the future, but it must not be sold for 20 times. How much does the authentic one cost? Jia Yan forced himself not to think about selling, but used adhesive. The adhesive is just as the description says, it is a simple adhesive. The feeling of use is also very simple. Use the power of brain waves to fill up as much as you use without touching the body at all. Under the power of brain waves, this adhesive does not look like a powerful semi-liquid and is filled up quickly. On top of disposable armor. But this feeling will soon disappear when he is on top of the armor. Huh? It's so solid. No wonder. It's said to be specially used to strengthen the combined armor. It must be very good. Jia Yan used all the amount to just finish gluing the two sets of armor together. It's very good. I feel that in a few days, the bond will be stronger. I think my defense will definitely be greatly improved in the future. Jia Yan is very satisfied with this adhesive. There must be a lot of similar gadgets. If some people buy such gadgets that reinforce each other everywhere, and then combine them together they may be able to come up with a relatively good finished product. That's why there are no what about people doing it. Jia Yan was a little strange, but after thinking about it, he understood. What about finished products? If the armor or weapons are reinforced with such little bits, they will look quite powerful even on the outside. But compared to those made with professional equipment and raw materials, the full set of armor and weapons will definitely be much different. Besides, if you piece it together bit by bit like this, it will definitely cost too much in the end. It will be more expensive than buying an authentic set of armor from a major manufacturer. There is no guarantee and no special meaning. Who would be stupid enough to do this? Yes, it seems that I still think too much. Of course, now I only use adhesive to strengthen it, which is still necessary. But if you see anything worth buying in the future, you have to be careful, otherwise it will always be if you tinker with things, you may end up spending a lot of money but getting nothing good. Jia Yan is wary of his own behavior, not only wasting money and energy on research, it is also a waste of his own time. In short, there is nothing wasted now, just a little adhesive, and the effect is good. I just need to pay more attention to similar consumption in the future. Jia Yan flew back to where Lin Angxing was. In fact, Lin Angxing got the news as early as Jia Yan's return. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2021. Lin Angxing, a half-star powerhouse, was victorious. Being able to defeat all the half-star level beings in the entire Linen Star, although this result was expected, it still made the entire Linen sect extremely excited. Ha ha ha, although that bastard Jia Yan won, I was very unhappy, but at least he improved the prestige of my Linen sect, which is exciting. Forget it, this Jia Yan has a bad temper, but he is always willing to do things. I thought he was unwilling to work before. Looking at it this way, it means he looked down on his previous job. Strong people always have tempers. It seems we still don't understand strong people. Jia Yan's victory made his reputation in Lin Angxing even higher. Many people even expressed forgiveness for his previous bad attitude. A strong man must have a temper. This is the case for the creatures in this star field. As long as it is good for their own power, they will cover it, even if they were a little uncomfortable before, but this kind of thing will make strong people or individuals in the outside world extremely unhappy. If it is replaced by in this starry sky, the value of personal interests is not as great as that of the outside world. It is better to seek the interests of the entire force, which is more beneficial to everyone, so they can forgive it. As for the group of half-star beings and the 10 half-stars killed by Jia Yan, they should still be unhappy, but the voices made by these people are not that influential. Because if they were to play, it would be impossible to say whether they would win or lose. They lost last time. This time, if the enemy's home court is played, they would not be able to win. Humph, then Jia Yan really won. Not only did he win, from my intelligence network, he even won shockingly. The opponent's galaxy class also appeared, although I don't know what he said. This, alas, our revenge cannot be avenged. This Jia Yan is too evil. Several of the top 10 semi-star level beings were originally gathered together to deal with Jia Yan, but today they felt as if their family members had died together, and the atmosphere was very solemn. Especially the second place one, his face was even uglier, because the last time he fought against that force's half-star level at home, the result was a miserable loss, just like losing to Jia Yan. A feeling. I originally thought that Jia Yan would have almost the same sense of strength as that guy at most, but now I saw that Jia Yan could easily defeat that guy. They were the top half-stars in the outer star field. An ordinary half-star like him can perform well in this kind of star field, but in front of the super-powerful half-star beings in the outside world, he is simply a minor player. He didn't dare to deal with Jia Yan anymore. I think, let's forget it. Even if this guy is placed in the outside world, he is definitely the best among the best. Besides, some of them have been speculating before that he may be the clone of a strong man, and he can have a half-star. The clones of super powerful people are all at the galaxy level. When it was mentioned that Jia Yan might be a clone of a galaxy-level existence, all the creatures present fell silent for a while. If Jia Yan is the real top half-star, they still dare to look up to him a little bit, but if the opponent is a galaxy level, then forget it. Facing a galaxy level, if not in this star field, even if they kneel down to worship in the outside star field, it is difficult to ask for an interview with a galaxy level, let alone go against the other party. Forget it, this kind of guy, whether he is a galaxy level or a half-star level, will not stay in a small linen sect for a long time. If we don't care about him, he will leave in the future. That's right, you're overthinking us. Haha, wherever Jia Yan goes in the future, we just have to avoid him. If he is really a galaxy-level being, he probably won't remember small characters like us. Galaxy level, can I get to that point in my life? Us? Let's not think about it. Although there are many galaxy-level people in the galaxy central, not all cats and dogs can become galaxy level. After all, the emergence of galaxy level requires talent and perseverance. We are still ordinary at our age. Half-star level, want to become a galaxy level? Impossible, but we can look forward to a star level. Several half-star level beings chatted and then fell silent. There was almost nothing left to talk about. Because they couldn't talk anymore. Although practicing in the central star field of the Milky Way is fast and there are many places where you can learn things, in fact, strong people have always been suppressed here, just like Jia Yan now, even if he already belongs to the middle-level existence of the galaxy, but there is still a sense of oppression, because in the central star field of the Milky Way, the strong are completely rampant. Even he is like this. You can imagine how depressed ordinary powerful people, such as such a half-star existence, would feel. So whenever they talk about a relatively powerful existence, they become silent because they don't know how much time it will take for them to reach that level of power. If it were in the outside world, just like Jia Yan, in an ordinary star field, he would dominate every step, and there would be no messy existence more powerful than himself to attack you. Ordinary strong people, really they have no interest in dealing with a being who is much weaker than themselves, because the rights they can enjoy cannot be enjoyed by stronger people who are lower than themselves. There may be insufficient resources for strong people outside, or their promotion may be slow, but there is only one thing that the strong people here cannot enjoy, and that is the feeling of being truly strong. The existence here makes even half-stars feel like minions. When Jia Yan was at half-star level, he was already dominating the Orion arm. The structures of both sides are different, but there are both good and bad. At least the strong ones who grew up in the outside world are absolutely stronger in terms of their hearts. Buzz. Inside the subspace, Jia Yan himself did not know that he had become the king of discussion topics in Lin Angxing, and even the stars were discussing him. He just tried his best to look at the products inside when passing by some star fields. If he missed something like adhesive, he felt it would be his own loss. But what is very surprising is that Jia Yan searched around and found a lot of gadgets, and he was speechless. In a powerful place, he found a kind of adhesive that had almost the same effect as the adhesive, but was conflicting. Symbol gold thing. The price is about the same and the effect is about the same. When I asked them, they said that I had already applied the adhesive, so the effect of their symbols would be gone. In other words, it would conflict. Jia Yan suddenly understood many things. It's not that others don't know these methods, it's just that there are so many ways to solve the problem that everyone will be spoiled for choice. Jia Yan also saw something that was said to make metal bones stronger. Although the strength was not very strong and it was very expensive, he still bought some and then painted it like paint. Painted a new armor. In the end, his armor actually changed. And Jia Yan smiled bitterly. Through this calculation, the price of a disposable armor has suddenly jumped to 1/5 of the full version. If I buy a full version and then operate some of the reinforcement objects, the price will be 10 times as much as this version. But the full version can be used for a longer time. He felt that this was like online shopping on Earth. As he continued to buy, he found that little by little things accumulated and turned into big money. If I don't buy it, I will definitely buy it next time. He was ridiculous. He feels that if he looks at it again, he will find a slightly better adhesive, and then he wants to replace it, but it is not cost effective to replace it, so he will buy a new disposable armor and complete a set of it, which will cost more than this time. There are still more, but then I found some places that can be upgraded. By the time he is almost done, it is estimated that not only will his cultivation be hindered, but he will also be close to being promoted. The disposable armor that is all completed is useless, so the best place to go is to throw it at a second-hand auctioneer at a huge discount. It may not be possible to sell at a huge loss. Haha, I understand the mentality of many compulsive shoppers. They always want the best, but they keep buying but are never satisfied. He curbed his shopping spree. Inside the linen faction. Buzz. A faint shadow appeared directly within the linen faction planet. Huh? Who? The leader of the faction instantly sensed that something was wrong, and quickly swept his brainwave power over. If it were an enemy, he would directly kill people violently. It's me, Lord Patriarch. An indifferent voice appeared in the shadow land. Jia Yan. The leader of the faction was already in the air above his head, but seeing that his basic expression remained unchanged, he directly restrained his attacks. This scene was seen by many people. They were so shocked that the leader of the faction didn't notice Jia Yan's return just now and actually wanted to attack. And facing the attack and hostility of a galaxy-level being, that Jia Yan was not afraid at all. Could it be that the rumors that he is a galaxy-level clone are true? Beings with various thoughts, after the leader of the Linen faction directly released the power of brain waves, blocking all contact and prying eyes from the outside world, they quickly did not dare to think about it anymore. Regardless of whether Jia Yan is the avatar of a galaxy-level existence, in short, such a big shot is not something they can peep at. Jia Yan is not, which at best shows that he is arrogant. But if he is, who dares to look at him all the time, and he holds a grudge, then the future will be really dangerous, offending a galaxy-level person, even in this starry sky. It is not a problem that can be solved through law. Within the area controlled by brainwave power, the faction leader landed directly. He found that even if he released all his brainwave power and spread it all over the land, that is to say, Jia Yan's entire body was directly wrapped in his brainwave power, Jia Yan was still not afraid at all. This discovery confirmed Jia Yan's identity. Are you back? Fortunately, I did not disgrace my life. Jia Yan and the faction leader smiled and talked. He didn't mind at all that his identity was revealed. There were so many galaxy-level clones walking around in the world, and there was only one more of him. Your Excellency Jia Yan, can you tell me your true identity and strength? The temptation from the faction master came. He was afraid that Jia Yan wouldn't answer directly. If it was just a strong man, he would have recognized it, so he would not be able to dodge it. Jia Yan had no intention of dodge at all. He just raised his head and looked at the sect leader, who was about 10 to 20 kilometers tall and tall like a mountain beside him, and continued to smile. But the words he said made the sect leader's whole blood seem to solidify. Am I stronger? Better than you. Better than you. Just these three words made the leader of the faction freeze in place. He calmed down slightly and then nodded. I understand, Your Excellency Jia Yan. I wonder what you are planning to do in my power? Also, has your body arrived? I was just passing by. To be honest, I was a little short of money and energy, so I used a clone to work. As for where my real body is, I can't tell you. Jia Yan's answer was not deceptive. At most, it was about where his real body was, and he just didn't say anything. This is too normal. Every strong person has enemies, or has his own scruples, and will not easily reveal his true identity to an unfamiliar person. If an injured strong man speaks out, he will easily be chased by the enemy. This is a matter of common sense. The sect leader probably rarely hangs out in the outside world, so he doesn't understand such strong etiquette at all. Of course, it is more likely that he said this deliberately, and it was full of temptation. I understand, Lord Jia Yan. Then I would like to ask, if it is possible, can our Linen faction afford to hire your true body? The faction leader took a long breath and asked tentatively. This may not mean that he really wants to invite someone, because if he rashly invites a strong person who is stronger than the leader of the faction to join him, where is the authority of the leader of his faction? Then who takes the benefits of the sect? What if that strong man is in existence with evil intentions? Of course, if it is a super strong person who really just wants a sum of money, then it will be of great use. A person who is stronger than his sect leader, not to mention the middle level of galaxy, even the elementary level of galaxy, will be in the opponent's section during the period of time he serves here. He can be of great help, and even more than double the interests of the entire sect. This is what makes good use of. Therefore, the faction leader was confused and looking forward to it. It's a pity that Jia Yan's cold response made him stop worrying no matter what. Because he responded by shaking his head. You can't afford it? Oh, excuse me then. The half-star mission has just been completed. Please rest more. The faction leader nodded and flew away. Neither of them said whether it was good or bad for Jia Yan, a clone of a powerful man, to fight against half-stars from other forces. At least the Linen faction doesn't feel bad at all. A galaxy-level person uses his clones to bully the younger ones. If others find out, the Linen faction won't laugh at him because they don't know. It is the strong man himself who is embarrassed. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second. Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2022. Therefore, the leader of the faction didn't even mention it. He was even thinking about whether he was looking back to see if there were any extremely difficult tasks to ask the powerful man's clone to do. Every time they completed one, they earned money. A clone of a galaxy-level existence, running to do a semi-star level mission, is almost easy to get. That's right, even if he doesn't want to use his real body to trade with our Linen sect, he won't lose anything. Besides, he said he was expensive. Maybe it is really expensive. It's normal for our Linen sect to be small and unable to afford it. The leader of the faction was thinking about Jia Yan's strength all the way back. He might have reached the middle level of galaxy. If it is really a mid-level galaxy, or even a mid-level galaxy from the outside world, then its strength is really impressive. But the problem is that in the Milky Way galaxy, it is normal for strong people to have clones, and even use the clones to do various things. This clone is probably here just to experience it. Many clones of strong men actually have little contact with the strong man himself, at least not too quickly. The clones need to return to the strong man before they can pass on their experiences to the strong man himself, so they are regarded as an individual. Nothing wrong with that either. Oh, it's a pity that his true form cannot join. If he joins, our Linen faction will definitely make a lot of progress. The leader of the faction started to feel a little regretful without competition. Of course, if Jia Yan was really willing to let his real body join, he would probably have another headache. So, human nature is like this. In this way, Jia Yan stayed in Linen sect. That Jia Yan's strength is really earth-shattering. When I fought with him last time, I felt that he didn't use his full strength. Far away in another starry sky, another being who had been challenged by Jia Yan's clone was talking about Jia Yan's strength to other friends. Many of the living beings present were strong men who had been defeated by Jia Yan in the name of mission or challenge in recent days. They are all half-stars. Each of these half-stars is a relatively powerful half-star in their respective sections. If they were placed in other sects, it would be extremely big news. But today, they were defeated one after another by Jia Yan alone, so these creatures from various sects gathered together and held a rare small meeting. That Jia Yan, there are rumors that he is the clone of a strong man. This is too funny. A strong man, at least a star or above, is fighting with a group of half-stars like us. That's right, if I knew what his true identity was, I would definitely laugh at him. It would be even funnier if he was a star. Big news. That's right, if he were a star, he would be on the Interstellar funny ranking list. A star comes to pretend to be a half-star, and fights with other half-stars. There is no strength at all. The person's self-esteem is gone. A group of half-stars were chatting about Jia Yan's problems. Each one of them felt certain about Jia Yan's true identity, like a strong man. Of course, a large part of the reason for this is that they are excusing themselves. After all, they always lose to the same person. If the opponent does not have the slightest background, then their loss will be too ugly. It's just that these half-stars have guessed correctly that Jia Yan is a galaxy-level incarnation. But so what? Jia Yan's name is not yet famous in this starry sky, and no one knows who the Zinged class with such a name is. The starry sky with the Zerg Queen is hundreds of thousands of light-years away. In the central star field of the Milky Way, hundreds of thousands of light-years separate us from countless forces, large and small, so I want to know what Jia Yan is. Reputation, at least recently, is difficult. No one would think that a galaxy-level person named Jia Yan over there is the Jia Yan here. The way I see it, in the future we won't fight with him on the grounds that the opponent is the clone of a strong man. Otherwise, it would be one thing for us to lose, and the other thing would be that the forces behind us would have to give in step by step. The territory is determined by a small number of half-star powerhouses. Okay, our power lost to him twice recently, and we gave up 2 businesses each time. This Linen faction is really comfortable. I don't know where I found a strong clone who is not afraid of embarrassment. They are naturally happy. Even if someone points out that Jia Yan is the clone of a strong man, even if he admits it, these things swallowed by Lin An's faction will definitely not be spit out again. They can only win back by challenging again in the future. These are not problems. The problem is that we can no longer accept Jia Yan's challenge, otherwise the losses will definitely continue. Yes, I won't accept it. If one person refuses to accept it, it will damage the reputation of our force. If everyone refuses to accept it, and then use the reason that he is the clone of a strong man, reputation must not be a big deal. So if many forces refuse to accept it, it shows that he really has a problem. The semi-star level beings discussed together and came up with the result. Not long after, These nearby forces actually made a joint statement one by one. Regarding Jia Yan's missions and territorial challenges, they did not accept them at all, because this half-star existence should be the clone of a strong man. There was an uproar in the entire starry sky. Jia Yan was a little hot before. After all, he was a victorious general, but now that he saw that he was actually the clone of a strong man, he became even more hot instantly. There are too many topics. For example, someone discussed that if he were the clone of a powerful man, what level would it be, star level or galaxy level? For another example, some people are arguing that since Jia Yan is the clone of a strong man, how should we judge the things he challenged for victory now? Is it to judge that he lost, or is it invalid, or is it simply judged that Jia Yan cheated and lost? There are also some people who think of deeper issues. This joint declaration was issued by several major forces at the same time, which means that they must have discussed this matter. Does it mean that, at least at the semi-star level, they are scared of the Linen faction? Haha, Jia Yan, you did a great job. You actually made no one at the half-star level dare to challenge you again. When they heard your name, all those at the half-star level were frightened. A strong person can do it. If you are at this level, it is a worthwhile trip. I envy you to have such a feeling in this life. The leader of the Linen sect found Jia Yan's training place that day and brought some food. He and Jia Yan were eating snacks like good friends. Leader of the faction, you are at the galaxy level. Isn't it wrong to envy me for being at the star and a half level? Besides, I am only relatively powerful in this star field. If I were in the outside world, I would probably get beaten as well. This is too modest. I also know your strength. If you go to the outside world, I guess you are not among the top geniuses. There are definitely some in the middle and above. Oh, you do think highly of me. Jia Yan ate and drank with the faction leader. Judging from the other party's attitude, Jia Yan actually understood that he already regarded himself as a strong man with similar strength to him. As for why he is still saying silly things up to this point, Jia Yan must be trying to make some superficial statement. After all, he made it clear directly, so it would be difficult for the Linen sect to respond to the doubts from the outside world. Now, he could also say that the entire Linen sect did not know that Jia Yan was a super terrifying strong man. Your Excellency Jia Yan, they are no longer willing to fight with you, but I think you still need money and materials. Let's do this. I will ask the sect to give you a certain amount of money every month. The basic salary before was too small. Now, because of your presence, we can be a little bit of a deterrent at the half-star level, so even if you don't fight, you will still have an effect. What do you think? Oh, can you get money without working? Then I would be disrespectful. Jia Yan was startled for a moment, then realized that the other party was showing his kindness, so he nodded and accepted. He still lacks a lot of energy, and he has to get a lot of money recently to buy high-grade energy, otherwise it will be a bit troublesome to repair his body. Of course, the super energy in the game space that he replaced before is still in use, so generally speaking, he is not too anxious. If you have money, you won't refuse it. You deserve it. Okay, that's it for today. I'll come see you when I'm free in 2 days. After the faction leader smiled slightly, he took off and left the training area where Jia Yan was located. He was so big that there was a strong wind when he flew away. This sect leader is quite a good person. If he doesn't know how to be a good person, he can't be the leader of a section, but I underestimate him. Jia Yan looked at the sect leader's leaving figure, and he actually wanted to leave in his heart. Because this Linen faction had nothing more to give him. Jia Yan established himself in this small sect just because he wanted to understand the starry sky and make some money along the way. There have been no challenges recently, and my income has dropped sharply. Even though some faction leaders mentioned increasing the basic salary, because the basic salary was not divided into battles after all, the quantity was extremely limited, so Jia Yan was a little disappointed with the income of Lin An's faction. Shall we change to another sect, or the Chamber of Commerce, or some other sect? I can at least make money for a while, but of course it won't be in this starry sky. It's just that this sect leader is also a powerful person. Not long after I had the idea of changing my sect, the other party Ju Fang actually came to talk to me directly, brought snacks to eat, and talked about increasing my basic salary, which made me confused. I'm too embarrassed to leave. Is this just a ploy for the top brass? Jia Yan even admired the faction leader. It's a pity that he won't decide whether to stay or go just because of such a small favor. If he wants to leave, he still has to leave. This time he will go to a slightly larger local force, and he will not shy away from the fact that he has a real identity behind him. After all, many forces know his name even if he goes to a farther one, but he is so close. It's not hundreds or even thousands of light years away. Ah! Jia Yan, Master Jia Yan, are you kidding me? Do you want to leave our power? Yes, I want to leave, but I won't leave too far. Maybe it won't be long before you hear about my fame. On this day, Jia Yan ate and waited for death for another day, and then flew to the main hall of the Linen sect under a lot of attention. In this hall, there are already sect leaders and others talking about things. Jia Yan didn't go to other places to go through the formalities and directly expressed his intention to leave. The entire hall was filled with shock. There is also reluctance. Jia Yan has helped them a lot within Lin An's influence and won some invincible battles. For Lin An's faction, although he is a mysterious and strong man, no one wants it. He left. After all, in addition to being able to fight, Jia Yan usually stays at his garrison and makes no sound at all. Even though there were many rumors saying that he was the clone of a strong man, and some people even called him despicable, Jia Yan still ignored it. As long as there is a task, he will do it. Such a talented person actually wants to leave? What a big loss. Jia Yan, if you want to leave, our Linen faction will lose a certain amount of face because you are very famous. Yes, Jia Yan, if you want to leave, people who know this news will come to challenge our semi-star territory. Then you will have helped us conquer those places in vain. Are you willing? Besides, it's only been a year since you joined our force. It's less than a year and you're leaving. Are you dissatisfied with our Linen faction? Several stars were very unhappy with Jia Yan's departure. I don't have any dissatisfaction with you Linen faction. It's just that I make less money here. I want to change to another place to make more money. Jia Yan shook his head. He would not give up due to the implicit threat in those words. In other words, the threat to him by a group of stars seemed like a joke to Jia Yan, and it was impossible for him to have the slightest impact on him. The clown. Even the leader of the Linen faction is nothing compared to Jia Yan's current strength. He really wants to leave, and he can leave anytime, anywhere, and no one can stop him. I'll let you know, it's just a courtesy. Fortunately, the leader of the faction knew Jia Yan's strength, and he also knew that Jia Yan did not think that leaving without telling him would lead to life safety problems, but that he was moral and came to inform him. No force can retain a mid-level galaxy being who is stronger than him. Yes, the leader of the Linen sect, after a lot of analysis, came to the conclusion that Jia Yan was a mid-level galaxy powerhouse. A mid-level warrior from the galaxy is like a great god to a small Linen sect like him. When he analyzed this point before, he felt a little restless. He wanted to gain such power, but also felt that Jia Yan was going to challenge his authority. Maybe even kill him. So he wanted Jia Yan's fighting power and felt it was dangerous. Very contradictory. Now at this moment, Jia Yan came by himself and said that he was leaving. He immediately felt that it was Jia Yan who helped him make the decision, and he felt relieved in his heart. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2023. Okay, don't talk nonsense. Your Excellency Jia Yan wants to leave. This is his own choice. As for the territory won by the competition, there is a time limit. For a period of time, those forces that lost to our territory will not come to take it. Come back, let's give a good send-off to His Excellency Jia Yan, who has made great contributions to us. In the end, the leader of the faction who knew that Jia Yan was probably an intergalactic being smiled and said goodbye to Jia Yan. Everyone, take care. Jia Yan gradually sank into the subspace in front of a large number of powerful people from the Linen sect in the meeting. And when he sank into the subspace, he released an earth-shattering force. It's not emanating from his real body, because he doesn't want others to know that he's really there, it's just that his clone borrowed a little bit of his real body's power. But this kind of power is definitely a power that would shock even the star level. What? There is such power, this. Sure enough, there is no mistake. Master Jia Yan is the clone of a galaxy-level existence. It's terrible, it's terrible. I still want to force him to stay. If I really do this, our Linen faction will all be in big trouble. The whole bodies of several star-class people were shaken, and they were extremely horrified. They looked at their sect leader and found that the sect leader did not move at all. He seemed not to be shocked by this power. They all understood why the sect leader let Jia Yan go. He had also treated Jia Yan before. He was very careful, actually, because he might have known for a long time that Jia Yan was a galaxy-level being. Sect leader, who is this Jia Yan? How strong is he? Sir, leader of the faction, do you know that he is a galaxy-level clone, and that's why you don't tolerate him everywhere? The leader of the faction took some time to relax, then shook his head. Yes, I knew he was a galaxy-level clone before, but I don't know much about his strength, but I am sure that his real strength is that of a galaxy-level mid-level clone. Do you understand? Galaxy-level mid-level ones exist in our star field, it's not something I can fight against. What? It's actually a mid-level star. Oh my god, Jia Yan's real body is an intermediate galaxy. In our star field, the gap between an intermediate galaxy and an ordinary galaxy is really huge. No wonder the leader of the faction dare not control him. Fortunately, we didn't treat Jia Yan too badly before. The matter regarding the Linen faction has come to an end. At least for Jia Yan, such a sect would not be of much help to his current injury. In the subspace, Jia Yan observed his body. The several eye-catching injuries on Giant Mosquito's body have been having a great impact on him. This body seems to have been repaired a lot on the surface, but in fact there are still many hidden diseases. Jia Yan was observing his injuries and then came to a conclusion, which made him sigh slightly. Because the injury has improved a lot, just using a small amount of energy to repair the surface, it looks like there is no injury, but in fact the inside is almost the same as if it was not repaired. That's right. Using a clone with a semi-star level strength to make money, although the income is already a bit more than a star level, can be said to be a drop in the bucket to repair the energy of the mid-level body of the galaxy. There was nothing unexpected about him. He had known about this kind of thing since he joined the Linen faction. For Jia Yan, the trip to Linen sect was, at best, a process of getting familiar with the star field here. Now that he had a general understanding, he began to plan advanced restorations. And Jia Yan has an extremely bold idea. This star field is a very suitable place for me to repair. Without the domain master, there are only a few people at the top of the middle-level galaxy. My strength is considered top-notch here. When the repair of the injury is completed, I can even be here. Try to see if you can reach the top of the intermediate galaxy. Jia Yan has been longing for the middle-level peak of the galaxy. If he reaches the middle-level peak of the galaxy, he can return to the Zerg Queen's force and fight the Black Sheep. After that, whether to stay in the Zerg Queen's force or not, right? As far as Jia Yan is concerned, everything is free. It must be impossible for the Zerg Queen to lock him into her power. That would be equivalent to raising a mid-level peak being in the galaxy for nothing. Of course, the premise of all this is to be able to reach the peak of galaxy intermediate level. My first goal now is to completely repair the injury first, and then consider promotion. Before the injury is repaired, I try not to be too public. The problem is the method. I have tried joining a force, but the effect is too weak and too slow. Jia Yan tried the method of joining forces, but he found that the speed was really a bit slow, not to mention that he couldn't really use clones to join forces all the time. He even used his clone method to join several forces with several clones. Although this speed will be much faster, it is still a drop in the bucket for an intermediate galaxy repairer. As for using his true body to join, that would be a big problem. If he did it when he was still intact, there would be nothing wrong with it. But he was injured. Maybe his appearance was not to join the force to make money, but to be attracted by those strong men who coveted the mid-level treasures of the galaxy. Keep an eye on. Let me think about the problem from another angle, that is, in this starry sky, there are really rich people, but this level of wealth is not something that ordinary individuals can easily earn. Generally, they are big forces or large, medium, and small forces. In terms of income, these forces fairly distribute everything to as many weak people as equally as possible. This is the reason why this starry sky is relatively prosperous. Since ordinary individuals, even powerful people, cannot get a good share of money, the only way I want to make money quickly is. Jia Yan suddenly figured out the problem. In fact, it's very simple. He didn't use this method before because he didn't know much about the central star field of the Milky Way and thought the risk was too high. After all, everywhere was an extremely terrifying territory lord level. But it's different here. There are no domain lords here, and there are only a few middle-level peaks in the galaxy. If there is not much movement, it will not attract the attention of these beings. As for waiting until the injury is repaired, he will definitely have to make some noise if he wants to be promoted. He will not care about the matter at that time. Having become the pinnacle of the middle level of the galaxy, he is not afraid of anyone as long as he is not the territory lord. If he can't reach the top of the intermediate galaxy, he can still escape. He already has too much experience in escaping from the intermediate summit of the galaxy. Haha, yes, that's right. Although I have been fighting and running away since I arrived in the central star field of the Milky Way. I look very embarrassed, but in fact I have gained countless valuable combat experiences. When I first came here, I was called a countryman. Man, my fighting skills are too rough, but in battle after battle, I have had a lot of experience against stronger men than myself. My experience and valuable skills have all made great progress, so this whole the process cannot be said to be a waste of time at all, and it may even be the time when I have made the fastest progress in my entire life. Jia Yan suddenly thought a lot. When he arrived in the central star field of the Milky Way, he experienced too much, but he was always extremely depressed. It seemed that he had not made much progress, but in fact, his progress had been extremely fast. From the beginning, it was extremely dangerous to fight against an ordinary mid-level star in the galaxy. Later, when he faced the Territory Lord and the peak of galaxy intermediate level, he still survived. Now he can guarantee that as long as his strength recovers, he can kill an average galaxy intermediate in the center of the Milky Way with just a few blows. This is progress. For other strong people, it is unimaginable progress. Yes, I can't be anxious. Turning depression into anxiety will be harmful. You can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. If you do bad things with good intentions, the gains will outweigh the losses. Jia Yan's mentality suddenly stabilized. It took him so long to come to the central star field of the Milky Way, but it only took him just a few years to get here. His strength has improved by leaps and bounds, so there is no need to rush. Black Sheep said that he would be promoted to Territory Lord soon, but Jia Yan really didn't believe it. With the speed of his progress, he would not be able to catch up. Don't worry. Take your time and you may gain something instead. But just like I thought, I still have to do that thing according to my idea just now. Jia Yan smiled slightly and stopped thinking about quickly improving his strength. Then he can do the method he thought of before. Start a sect. Ha ha ha, I have established many forces in the outside world, including the Orion Arm, the stellar battlefield, even the giant world, the game Starry Sky, etc., etc., but in the central star field of the Milky Way, there has never been a section. The idea of establishing a sect was really lacking in confidence before, but now, let's give it a try. Onmyedo sect? Earth sect? Or what? Jia Yan thought about the name of the sect for a long time, and finally felt that since he had decided to follow the path of Yin and Yang Tao, and he was teaching Yin and Yang Tao that subverted the fighting methods of the strong men in the galaxy and universe today, he might as well make it more grand and leave out the word Tao. Directly named, Yin Yang sect. Yin Yang sect? Haha, this looks a bit like it. In other words, I have established so many forces, and every one of them feels a bit petty. Now this Yin Yang sect can be regarded as a comprehensive force. Moreover, it is also established in the central star field of the entire galaxy. It is considered a good place. Now that it has been done, and even gave it a formal name, then, don't let your efforts go to waste. The harmonious star field is also what Jia Yan likes. What the entire society here lacks is not outside interference, but a powerful force, or strong person, that can suppress the outside world and make the star field more stable. If I can develop here, both the Yin-Yang sect and I can make this domain more stable, and the harmonious social feeling I like can be maintained forever. Of course, if I want to give blood to the sect I established, I must let if this star field becomes stronger and the normal operation of this place is maintained, it will only make this place more prosperous, and everyone must agree. The more Jia Yan thought about it, the more it made sense. Of course, it's not that simple to rise. There must have been many powerful people in this star field who wanted to do this, and some even tried to practice it, but no one succeeded. There must be great resistance. Jia Yan had thought about all this, but he didn't think he would fail. It's not that he thinks his strength has reached the point where he can ignore the strong men here, but he is confident in his future. Of course, the biggest resistance to controlling this star field is definitely not the local strong men or forces, but from the outside world. Jia Yan knows this very well. And among the powerful people in the outside world, there are definitely domain masters. How to deal with it then is a matter of the future. Jia Yan's top priority is to recover from his physical injuries, and during this period, he cannot directly publicize it. Everything must be kept simple. Don't make too much noise at the beginning. Take it one step at a time. Then, this matter must be left to the clone. It's just that Black Dog's clone has become somewhat famous in this star field. Many people even know that my clone is a powerful clone. If I use this clone to go out to do things, it will be too eye-catching. So I have to change it. The clone, and the name can no longer be Jia Yan. Jia Yan thought more thoughtfully. As for the Edisha, Jia Yan was thinking about it, pushing him to move within the sub-rose of about 7 or 8 degrees. Knowing that there were no domain master creatures here, he didn't worry about moving in 7 or 8 degrees, even if there were any galaxies. The existence at the top of the intermediate level wanted to attack him, and it was attacking him in 7 or 8 dimensions. Jia Yan felt that he could easily dodge it. However, there are no attacks on the road. Within this star field, even if it is a mid-level galaxy existence, who will explore the deep subspace without preparation? Moreover, the starry sky path that Jia Yan took was originally an inaccessible place. How many lifetimes would it take for a mid-level star to reach the top of the galaxy just happened to be on that path? So it was natural that I didn't encounter a strong person. Master, here we are. Suddenly, Jia Yan was awakened from his thoughts by Edisha's voice. Are we here? Jia Yan and Aidisha stayed deep between the lines. The place where he ordered Edisha to come was exactly the place he decided after careful consideration. In this harmonious star field, there are actually several so-called extremely prosperous spots, but almost all of them are occupied by extremely powerful forces. If you want to compete with others for territory in such a place, you may not only face powerful local forces. It is more likely to involve more powerful forces in the outer star field. So Jia Yan didn't choose an extremely prosperous place. But even if you don't choose that kind of place, it can't be too remote, and it's not an advantageous location, nor is it suitable. After careful consideration, Jia Yan finally chose a place located at the corner of several prosperous areas in the northwest and central region of the star territory. This place is at the corner of several prosperous areas, and it is also an important transportation thoroughfare. It is just because there is not a large population here, and there is no development value, so there are no forces occupying it. Of course, it is said that there is no one. In fact, which there will be no local power, but the local power must be very weak. Jia Yan was very satisfied with Aditha's precise control of the target. After looking at the specific map and thinking carefully about it, he put his consciousness inside the Aditha. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2024. He is choosing his doppelganger. There are many clones, large and small. The previous giant dog clone was the largest one, and then there were other clones that were relatively smaller. The giant dog clone should be the strongest among the many clones I brought, but the appearance is not too pretentious. Among the other clones, the one that is too big is not good, and the one that is too small is not pretentious, and the strength is not. It's hard to pick because the giant dog is the strongest and the others are not as strong, but if you want to have that effect, you can't use the weak ones. Jia Yan even regretted using the giant dog clone before. But the giant dog clone isn't very good either, it looks too young. People who want to establish a sect should be of high moral character and should not be young and impulsive. He carefully selected this time, and finally picked out a turtle-like clone at the end. The turtle clone was customized by Jia Yan in the past just for fun. There are 2 small tufts of beard on his face, and he looks very much like an old man. Buzz. Jia Yan attached his brainwave power and consciousness to this turtle creature. This turtle creature is about 200 meters in size. It is a little bit different from the approximate size of a half-star powerhouse, but it is not much different. Moreover, he still looks old and aged. In this case, it is a lie. The audience is very simple at the beginning, and I can transition to myself step by step in the future. Jia Yan thought for a long time and finally figured out what to do. This sparsely populated place in the Northwest Territory is said to be sparsely populated, but compared to the starry sky outside, the density of the population here is still astonishing. At least Jia Yan couldn't see that the saying of sparsely populated actually meant that there were people living on many asteroids. And his initial target list was on these asteroids. This year's harvest is not good. Alas, it feels like we are almost out of income. On an asteroid, a heaven-level creature, like an honest farmer, smiled bitterly while watching the farm work in a field. Don't be surprised, the demand for crops in the starry sky is still huge. Even a strong man like Jia Yan, who has been able to break away from the category of food very early, often looks for various crops to improve his appetite. As for the weaker creatures, they rely even more on crops, especially the crops in the starry sky. In fact, they have always been specially improved. Many of them contain a lot of energy and have the effect of assisting cultivation, so buyers are extremely many. Many areas still use such starry crops as the traditional delicacies of the entire star field. Therefore, it is not surprising that farmers appear in large numbers on this asteroid in the starry sky. But today, the farmers on this asteroid are a little depressed. Because there was a problem with the stellar energy collector a few days ago, each of them suffered a moderate impact. The stellar energy collector is a good thing for collecting the power of distant sunlight in this starry sky. This is not a prosperous place, so it is not close to any star. Therefore, if farmers want to use the power of stars, they must use their brains, and the star energy collector is the crystallization of their wisdom. The so-called stellar energy collectors are countless intelligently controlled small energy collectors floating in space. You can think of them as solar panels, which collect energy and then transmit it to asteroids. There are benefits to everyone. On this asteroid, there was a problem with the energy collector recently, causing their harvest to be reduced. So these people are all extremely depressed. The main problem is that those interstellar caravans last time were so overbearing. The asteroids that rushed past us didn't stop, causing half of our collectors to break. Now the harvest is gone, and I don't know if we can go there. Sue them. Sue, it's up to you to sue. Damn it, our income has been reduced. We don't know whether we can survive in the future. How can this kind of force do anything without suing? I don't think we can succeed in this kind of thing. Besides, that Chamber of Commerce is not our star region's Chamber of Commerce. They just passed by. We don't know when they will come back in the future. We have to find someone if we sue. That's right, I'll forget it. Alas, I really can't get through this year. Then I'll go find my relatives in Kong next door. The harvest there should be stable. I think it's still possible to help our family. No, I'm going to work in a big city. I've had enough of this small place. I told you to leave early if you have enough. Hey, in this starry sky, there will be no quarrels between farmers like us. Believe it or not, if you go to the big city, you will have no strength or knowledge, let alone work ability. You still have to come back in despair, or even die outside. A group of farmers were sighing and arguing. Although they also have heaven-level or earth-level strength, such strength is too weak for Kong. Every farmer has been cultivating in this land of asteroids for generations. Last time, a caravan suddenly came and told them not to go this way, but they had to go this way, and then put their stars. Less than half of the energy collector was destroyed, making it almost impossible for them to survive. Actually, I want to say that there is a way that can help us. Suddenly, a girl-like voice sounded from behind a group of farmers. Any solution? It turns out to be little Billy from the Ash family. If there's anything a kid can do, just don't put a cross in there. We'll leave tomorrow. The speaker was a little girl who looked like a little rabbit. Unfortunately, she was too young, only in her 20s, and no one wanted to believe her. In the central starry sky of the Milky Way, people in their 20s feel like they were 5 or 6 years old on Earth before. No one would believe that such a young child could say anything insightful. You don't even believe me. Little Billy is just an ordinary creature. She is only in her 20s and is still a toddler. She cannot practice cultivation, so her strength is not even at the Earth level. She was so angry that she ran around on the asteroid. Then I hid under a green plant more than 10 meters high, feeling extremely sad. This vegetation is the main plant they are growing. When this plant absorbs sunlight, it will grow into extremely tall and high-yielding vegetation. The plants produced can be eaten by many levels of starry sky creatures, and also have very good nutritional and cultivation values. I'm sorry, I didn't help you, so you can only become such little seedlings. This little Billy hugged green vegetation more than 10 meters high and actually said that they were just seedlings. Originally, such vegetation can grow to nearly 100 meters high, and then bear fruits as big as the room I live in. Each of those fruits can feed me for a month or two. Unfortunately, you may not be able to grow them. It's so big. Little Billy has a very good feeling for plants. She didn't realize that while she was talking to herself, a figure gradually approached in the space around her. There is also a problem of harvest failure here. Jia Yan was inside the sub-row room, looking at the creatures outside. For him, such a small planet is only 300 to 400 kilometers in diameter. The residents are only as strong as the starry sky level, and the weak ones are only as weak as the earth level. He is not worried at all. He will be noticed. He was approaching the so-called villagers here to understand the situation here. Are you talking about a problem with the stellar energy collector? That's it? The stellar energy collector is the source of all energy for their asteroid. Even the plants are supported by the energy of those distant stars. Whatever Jia Yan wanted to know, it was easy to find information on the internet, so he quickly figured out the problems on such an asteroid. A caravan was running rampant here and wanted to save roots and energy consumption, so they chose to fly over from their side. Not only did it violate the rules, they also placed this asteroid outside, which was equivalent to their destiny star. Most of the energy collectors were destroyed. Then it is natural that the vegetation here has become difficult to survive, and even the energy used for daily life is almost no longer guaranteed. You know, on this kind of asteroid, not to mention vegetation, even light and countless places in daily life require energy, and all of this energy comes from the solar energy from stars that is usually collected. But now, the people on this small planet are forced to despair. This kind of place seems to be the most suitable place for me to develop. Even if they are treated unfairly, no one will help them. In other words, the information is so blocked from the outside world, so no one will deal with the matter here. I think if we want to establish a temporary place for development, wouldn't this be the best place? Jia Yan smiled. As for these stellar energy collectors, they are quite simple. Jia Yan moved. He didn't want to spend his own money to buy energy collectors for these farmers, and that wasn't the way to use the money. Above the starry sky, an old creature like a turtle, which was 200 meters in size, appeared outside the starry sky. What is that? A very old monster. 200 meters in size, they are at least venerable level creatures. What is such a powerful creature doing on this small planet of ours? Is it here to take advantage of it again? Asshole, if he's here to take advantage of the situation, he's looking in the wrong place. We're already at a loss, and he can't rob anything if he comes to take advantage of the situation. No, I think this creature's temperament and his old appearance mean he wouldn't do such a thing. Look, what he is doing is like collecting the energy collectors we smashed in the stars. Yes, the energy collector is just broken. It does not mean that there is no chance of repair. With so many small machines, it is easy to piece together many good ones. Yes, this old man is actually helping us. Good people, but we can't let good people work alone. We have to rely on ourselves to go up and help. Let's fly a spaceship. We are not as powerful as others. We can't survive flying into the stars. A group of peasant creatures, because they discovered that old turtle creature, was actually outside the starry sky, helping them sort out the remains of the stellar energy collector, and even helped to separate some of the stellar energy collectors with broken joints into good parts. After docking and piecing together something that could be used, their eyes suddenly turned red. Here they are, considered inconspicuous farmers on a small planet. In this incident, there were no powerful figures to help them speak out. So they left the Chamber of Commerce without paying them a cent, and just left like that. They also thought that they had become a group of poor people that no one cares about in this starry sky, and they may not even be able to live in the future. Unexpectedly, there were still people willing to help them. And it's a venerable level creature. You know, to such a farmer, a venerable level creature is already a big shot. Such a big shot could be a small leader in a caravan, but he actually went to an uninhabited asteroid like theirs to help them clean up their stellar energy collectors. He was really a great person. Immediately, the farmer's tattered spaceships and the like below all started flying one by one. Asteroids with a diameter of 300 to 400 kilometers are actually inhabited by a lot of farmers. Anyway, for weak creatures, they are not big. The strongest starry sky level ones are only tens of meters tall. They live on such a planet. Enough. Each of them launched his own spaceship, and some of them were so broken that they would not start and fell back into the starry sky. Sir, thank you for your intervention. Old sir, don't be too tired. We should do our own thing. When those spaceships flew, it was a pity that the level of the spacecraft was too low and they could not operate properly. This is why they could not repair themselves. Find bookstore. The turtle creature is naturally Jia Yan's clone. He tried his best to look older, hunched over and smiled slightly. He responded in very slow and calm words. Haha, I can't stand this kind of thing. It's inconvenient for you, but it's a piece of cake for me. Don't panic, I'll handle it for you to the end, take your time. The clone controlled by Jia Yan seems to be very slow, but because of the help of brainwave power, with a wave of his hand, the stellar energy controller in the distance will fly to his eyes, and then be handled by Jia Yan with the feet of a turtle. What should be dismantled, what should be combined, will soon emerge intact. He will also use the method he has read in the manual to test the finished product, that is, aim at the nearest star in the distance, and see that the energy controllers will flash bright lights. This means that the test has been passed, which is regarded as passing the test. The piecing together is complete. Ah, there are so many intact ones. Ha ha ha, we are saved. We will survive this year, save more money next year and buy some new ones, so we don't have to go to other places to work and come back. Haha, I really have to thank you, sir. I don't know this old gentleman's surname, so we can remember him well. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website.